with our twin turbo kit, we put so much time and energy just to being able to make it repeatable, one. And two, our biggest crown jewel, like the thing that we were very proud of, the X pipe, which is right here, stack of them right here behind me. And those things, you look at the welds on them, we back purge everything. Lifetime warranty on all my fabricated components.
Lifetime?
Lifetime. If it
Lifetime
cracks,
warranty.
no questions asked.
Sheesh.
We also sell a 4-year, well, it's part of the kit. I just announced this actually on my Instagram.
I saw it. I was waiting for that.
The 4-year, 75,000 mile bumper to bumper warranty with all of our packages on the C8.
Welcome back to Go Hard Podcast. I'm your host, Noel.
Co-host Justin White.
Guys, this is a different scene right now. We're in a little workshop here, where they build the parts. As usual, we usually sit in front of cars, but just want to say sorry. But we're in the AC. That's all that matters, right?
And we have a lot of good vehicle art.
Right? A lot of art here, a lot of welding art, a lot of porn art, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, anything you want to say, Justin?
No, I'm excited. Let's do it.
And we want to say that if Justin has to go, because I didn't know personally that he was allergic
to pet dander.
Yeah, and
Thanks a lot.
He's also allergic to the air, so he can't, just the air floating around Puerto Rico.
Well,
U.S. air.
No. Let's get it clear.
And your food.
In Puerto Rico,
allergies.
I breathe phenomenally. It's when I get here to the dirty States air, that's when it gets a little rough.
Yeah. So he doesn't like the U.S., but
he's meant to be on the island.
He still makes money here. So
yeah, I mean that's true. I guess.
Guys, today we're gonna hit it off. We're gonna talk about the timeline. The future for him, the development of the C8s, which is huge. C8 King. All the R&D and testing on the C8s and the Z06. We'll talk about the future for the C8s. And let's give it up for Alex Peitz.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little about you and give us your background, and you start with your story from start to finish.
Well, that could be a really long story. So I'll try to
make it a little short.
I'll try to expedite it a little bit or consolidate. Yeah. So pretty much tuned my first car when I was 16 years old. I was on a 98 Mustang GT that I owned. And by tuning, I mean I had Diablo handheld, but it gave me the ability to add or subtract timing. A lot of them will just let you subtract timing for nitrous or whatever. Yeah. But somehow I got one that had some extra compatibility in it. So I could add subtract timing, add subtract fuel. I could do basic data logging with it.
Globally or individually add that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you didn't have the super chips, right? Super chips had the.
I mean, that's essentially what it was.
Yeah.
It's plus 2 degrees, but that's everywhere.
Yeah.
I think it actually did give me an RPM range. It was 3,000 or 2,500 to 5,000 and 5,200 to 6,000 or something like that.
I remember the Diablo being more expensive than the super chips. It's on the cheaper side. So.
Yeah. But nonetheless,
yeah.
I'm from Iowa, and so I'd go out 2-lane roads, cornfields literally around me, it's straight up Iowa, southeast Iowa, what you think of. But and I would just go and I would time myself from this point in the road, if there was a crossroad or whatever, to this point, and I would just see if I got there faster, right? And I didn't know exactly what I was looking at with the data. I didn't know what fuel trims really were, or if you're on a I don't know. Block learn multipliers or whatever, the BLMs back in the day on GMs, learned about that a little bit later on. But yeah, that was my beginnings in trying to figure out, oh, wow, this is cool. I really like computers, but I really like cars. I'm not as apt to do mechanical work. I can do it, but my real passion is for computers and cars, and making them run correctly. And that's where it all kind of stemmed from that. And then that car, I got rid of that. And then I joined the Army actually when I was 17. And after I joined the Army, I got a Dodge Neon SRT4. And I started messing around with that because I did DSMs before. My first car actually was a 92 Plymouth Laser.
So you hate money.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have a soft spot in my heart for DSMs, right? So I had, man, from the time I was 15 to the time that I was 18, I probably owned like 15 different cars. And I bought it all with my own money, doing paper out money or working whatever and doing this, doing that, and the other, right? And then join the Army, of course.
What job did you have in the Army?
I was human intelligence. So.
Well, we appreciate your service.
Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah.
Appreciate your support.
But human intelligence, we're in trouble.
Yeah. Is that like before AI? Artificial?
He is AI.
He is AI?
Yeah.
You thought he was right there? No.
That was a good one.
But basically, so you were just kind of figuring out what platform you liked. Because you start with a Mustang and then you go to a Dodge Neon, but you had a Laser.
Yeah.
I had one too. That's why I know you hate money.
Yeah. No.
I had 3 of them and only one ran at one time.
So my first car was a Laser. Then I got rid of that and I got a Jetta because I thought it was cool. From
TDI
Fast
or?
and Furious. No, like Jetta.
VR6?
No, it wasn't the VR6 or whatever it was. Yeah, I can't remember now.
I don't know the other ones.
What's that?
I don't know the other ones.
Yeah, I can't remember either. But anyway, so I had Jetta for like 2 weeks and that thing crapped out on me. So I got rid of that. And then I got a 3000 GT VR4.
You really hate money.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, I had a bad output shaft.
That's why he knows so much stuff, because he's had so many broken vehicles.
He diagnosed them all.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
That was one of my dream cars, a VR4.
Yeah, it was 92. I drove to Kansas City to get it. Bought it for $5,500. Bought that. That was with paper out money.
Yeah.
That I saved since I was 12. So
Damn.
It's a hell of a car to buy. You know what that is?
Yeah.
Turbo all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
That was
had
bad.
the active
dude.
arrow the active arrow on that one did not
Yeah.
work. But yeah.
They made a Glock version of that.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So I had the VR4 and then I got rid of that. And that's when I got the Mustang. And that's when I actually like really started, more so digging my teeth into tuning. And then joined the Army, got rid of the Mustang. I got the SRT4. And then because I still like, the pocket rocket thing, 4-cylinder turbo.
Well, they were hot.
Yeah.
Between that, the Cobalt, and they
Mine was the white one with the blue stripes, like the anniversary edition.
that's my thing, remember?
Yeah.
So the Viper, I always loved the white Viper with the blue stripes.
Yep. It was that. They had the SRT10, the SRT4, and the SRT8. The SRT10 truck, and the SRT8 Viper, and then the SRT4 with the white with the blue stripes.
Yeah. Jesus.
Anyways, but that was cool. But then I got back into V8 stuff. Had some different vehicles, like I had a GTO while I was in the Army. I had an F-150. So I was always kind of like Fords too, never dabbled into the Dodge yet at that point. So I was in the Army full time for 6 years active duty.
Pretty cool that you're like diverse and not just name one brand.
And I've always been about that. Like I feel like if you understand the concept of tuning and you understand what you're doing, you can apply it to any vehicle. It's just learning what I call the buttonology, right? Figuring out what buttons you got to press for what specific platform you're working on. Because the tuning process is the same, more or less. You always have to figure out, okay, what mods am I working with? What do I need to do? Is the car mechanically sound? Figure those things out. Figure out where you stand, and then know how to go in and make the initial adjustments for whatever mechanical modifications are done, and then go from there, right? It doesn't matter what. It's just the nuts and bolts,
Right.
So, anyways, but yeah, so I was in the Army for 6 years, messed with cars all throughout that time. But like when I went on deployment, I would go out on mission and I'd come back and I'd sit there and read for hours about any tuning concept that I could, just absorbing as much information as I could. I also went to college for two and a half years while I was in, and part-time whenever I could, online, whatever, just going, getting my regular degree, working on that. When I got out, I ended up finishing my degree, but also working full-time, started my first shop while I was finishing my degree. And then, I didn't sleep much. I was also trying to start a drag strip back in the day.
Oh, damn.
So I was it's called Keokuk Drag. It's going to be called Keokuk Dragway. It used to be called Lee County Dragway, something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. There's a little 8-mile track that actually got shut down. The track was still there, like remnants of it, and the timing tower was still there, but it's just like grown up. And basically, somebody filed an injunction against the track, and it just the neighbors killed it. Right. And I was trying to get that back up and going. So that was a cool thing I was trying to do, like lobbying for it, gaining interest in it. This after I got out of the Army. Right. So I was doing that.
Back in Iowa?
Yeah, back in Iowa.
Okay.
Because I moved back to Iowa.
Right.
So I moved all around, and deployed and stuff. I wanted to go home. thought that's where I wanted to be. And I still liked being home. And then I decided I wanted to get a little more specific schooling. So I came down here to Houston. That's when I first got introduced to Houston. I went to a tech school down here, and actually Hennessy Tuner School, and which they didn't really do a whole lot of tuning specific coursework there. It was more so like automotive performance, mechanical stuff, and it wasn't bad. Like it, not that I hadn't worked on cars a lot before, but I just didn't really have. I already got my degree, and I just wanted something. Had some GI Bill left over, and I wanted to do something. So like I thought maybe this would work, and what really helped me was the networking aspect of it. Coming down here to Houston and doing that was one of the best things I ever did because I met so many people. And there's a lot of those people are my customers now.
Nice.
Yeah. And there's different things we do for various shops and things like that. And had I not done that and made those connections early on, I would not have those connections now. So it was really something that was beneficial.
What year is this?
That was like 2013.
Okay.
Yeah. And so like,
are they still doing that school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They've actually expanded it now too.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's going to come full circle. I'll tell you later on here. But so I came down here, did that, and I actually linked up with a local shop here, and they needed a tuner, they needed a dyno, and so I ended up moving my dyno down here. But I was actually in the process of getting a job out in California. I was supposed to go work for who was it? LSX TV, which is Power Auto Media. Okay, and I was going to be an editor and a tuner for them. And so I was going to tune all the shop cars that we're doing editorials on. I also did a lot of writing. I liked writing. I basically had a minor in English. But yeah, so just like an awful thing that I'd like to do. So I thought I was going to be going to California, getting a job there, but I still wanted to tune, and I was going to help them remotely. And so just continue building that aspect of my life. But I wanted to explore, this job opportunity in California. And I went to Iowa after school. I packed up my house. I had just sold it. There's a whole lot going on in my life. Things were changing like crazy. And so I ended up packing all my stuff up in a U-Haul, and I had my car trailer, not really a car trailer, but a U-Haul car trailer behind that. So as big a U-Haul as you can get, like 30 footers or whatever they are.
Right.
But the 8.1 in it was terrible. Going cross country in that thing was, it was terrible.
What beats everything to death?
That 8.1 big block that is just...
Does 60, 65 down a hill?
Yeah. Yeah, you could only go 45 up the grades, It was bad. But anyway, so I had that thing, halfway packed, and I had my Firehawk on the back of that because that's the latest car I had bought.
Nice.
So yeah, like a 01 Firehawk, like 13,000 miles on it, cream puff, 426, cam, headers, higher compression, NA deal, with the Turbo 400 in it. It was pretty cool. Sorry, not Turbo 400. That was a 4L80 in it, but same difference, but... Anyways, so had
Much
that
longer gear ratio.
Yeah, and so I drove across the country, picked up my buddy who I'd met at tuner school, and he was gonna be my roommate. Drove across the country, actually, and
so you had it linked to the U-Haul?
Yeah.
So you did 35 across the country.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and then I picked up my buddy who I'd met at tuner school in Colorado, and then actually, what's interesting about this? When I was in the Army, my last duty station was in Hawaii. And that's where I met who is my longtime domestic partner, girlfriend. Man, I sold my house. I had money from selling the house. I was like, let's see what we can make happen, And so I still went, and I was like, I'm just going to figure it out. Land of opportunity in California. It's like, that's where I,
Back then,
yeah.
Not now.
Yeah. So anyways, but yeah, it was always a little dream of mine to live in California.
Yeah.
So yeah, because my uncle lived there.
When you have a tech background, you like electronics, that's the place to be.
Yeah. So, so I ended up just still going and just on leap of faith that something's going to work out. And so got there, found an apartment, and basically started applying for jobs. But I found a listing on Indeed for a calibration engineer position at Saline. And so I applied and I got called in for an interview. And a week later I was working there.
Damn.
That's cool.
Sick.
So yeah.
That's fucking sick.
Yeah. So I worked out, but like,
What year is this?
that was like early 2014, late 2013, something like that. Yeah. Like it was like late 2013. I can't remember exactly. The timelines get a little blurry, but yeah. So they had their white label and their yellow label, and I think black label as well. And then that's when they got their name back because it was SMS for a while because they lost their name because of whatever trial thing they had going on with whatever company. And so it was SMS, and then which is Steve, Molly, and Sean, I believe, because Sean and Molly are his daughter and son, and then Steve. So that's what that was after. Just a little tidbit of
Where's
information.
the wife?
I don't know. They never talked about it.
Dang. Okay.
But yeah. So Steve's an interesting guy. If you ever meet him. But anyways, so I went and started working at Celine, and yeah, it's cool. Like he's got rooms named after like different places where he won, like because they won with the S7. That thing was was a beast.
We got when we filmed at Calvo's, Paul Walker's S7 was there.
Yeah, and I've talked to Calvo about that car before.
That's crazy.
Because I talk to Calvo, periodically. Him and I are pretty good friends.
Because people network.
Yeah,
it's something that we're kind of with this podcast, and why I'm kind of working with him on it is because a lot of people don't realize that a lot of us do work together.
Yeah,
I mean, I've called you on C8 stuff many times.
Yeah,
so. I thought it was just kind of cool that people don't realize that, but that's what happens
for
the people that want things done right.
Yeah, for sure. So we're all together collectively. We're a stronger force, and it's going to make the industry better.
100%.
So I'm a strong proponent of that. I don't get into drama and all that stuff. Like anybody calls me, they want me to help them, I'll help them, or vice versa. I need help too. Like what I mean? Like that's
nice.
It takes a bigger man to ask for help.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's stuff sometimes I get stuck, and I work with other shops too, like shops I'll tune for.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those guys are really good with some mechanical aspects of things or whatever it may be. Of like, dude, I'm hitting brick walls here.
Yep.
Help me out, and then they'll need my help or whatever. So we just return the favor to each other. So yeah, so I was at Celine and just doing stuff there. I think I was there for about 7 or 8 months.
What was your specific role there?
So basically calibration engineer was just a generic role there. But so I was in charge of just making sure that, if we had like new operating systems that came out, we would roll it back to the previous operating system if we could, because we had already developed a cal for that OS. So we had some Ford tools that we would use to help us do that.
Not to cut that off. I just don't want to lose my train of thought. So I know in California, they're big on carb, right?
Yeah.
So was that something that you guys had to deal with? Because you'd have to make the tune fit carb, right?
Yeah. So that was another thing. That was like my introduction to all the emissions aspect of things, which has also helped shape me to some of the things I'm doing today. Because I have a VMAS 2.0, which hooks up to my Mustang dyno, and we're actually able to do the FTP 75, the US06, SCO3, and all of the different federal test procedures that are mandated by EPA and CARB. And so we can replicate those tests, and I can see the mass flow data, and I can graph it out, and I can look at it stock, and then when we put our package on it, and I can make adjustments to get it more within compliance, or it may already be like a lot of cars, you have a lot of room on them, how they come, like you may have 15%, you may be 15% under the threshold that would put you over, right? So some cars are closer, some cars are further away. So if you've got more room to work with it, then you can actually, if you got more hydrocarbon output, if you're still under the threshold, you're still going to be good, right? But you have to be able to have that baseline data. And also, I do take cars out to SEMA Garage in California. Now they have SEMA Garage in Michigan as well. But yeah, I've taken like my truck, my 22 Silverado. I was doing development work on that stuff, working with some different companies. Took it out there, got some baseline data on that, laboratory grade equipment, and then I'm able to compare that data with my equipment, which obviously isn't like state of the art, but it's
where your thresholds are,
right? So I know this, and I know where I'm at with that, because they can go a lot deeper and get a lot more data, of course. But I know where I'm at here, and I know where I'm at there, and now I know, I spec that I'm 10% under that threshold. So I know that if on my machine, if I have 5% more hydrocarbon output, I'm still going to be good to go.
Now, are you working on carb legal packages?
Yes, it's
because there's C8s are like cockroaches in California.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time and money to do it, and I've had bigger fish to fry in making sure that my production process, as you've seen all these parts behind me, are as good as possible, right? Because that's key. You got to be able to support the product if you start selling a lot of it, right?
Right.
And while that is important, and I do have the data, I'm working on that, but also trying to continue to finalize everything here, right? As far as just improving the production process.
a lot of things playing at once.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how many hundreds of thousands of dollars I've got into R&D and making this kit as good as it possibly can be.
Really?
Like it's all my tooling's out there, but yeah, we do everything in house here pretty much. Like all the stuff we make. I mean, we get the intercooler cores from Bell, and we get the turbos from Precision, and some of the other things we aren't going to make in house.
Right.
But the piping, all the fabrication components, it's all done here.
Yeah. We'll get into the C8 more.
Yeah. So anyways, but yeah, so yes, it did give me an introduction into carb compliance and things like that as well. So I was working on some of the different calibrations and some were already there when I got there. And so some of that was just like, literally, I'm just flashing the cars on the line. And I also did some quality control stuff too, because I needed help with that. And so there's some other things that I helped them with, doing some instruction manuals. So if we were selling parts to different people or parts that we had that were part of our kit that people just wanted to buy, like a front fascia from us, you sell them the front fascia and you give them some instruction manuals and stuff like that. So because I was pretty good with writing, so I was helping with that too.
Only because I'm super interested. So when you're doing this whole tuning deal, right, for a Roush, a lot of people are like, oh, well, it's just that base tune that comes with it. And how in depth do they go? Do they quality control things like that? I don't know if that's something you can talk about or not, but so if they're going to load this file in 10 cars, like, do they every couple cars check one on a dyno?
Oh yeah. I mean,
when I went to Hennessy, I just went there to go talk to somebody, but they kind of went over their procedures and all. And we mentioned this on that Calvo podcast. A lot of people try to talk bad of Hennessy, but what I saw there, I was very impressed.
Yeah.
I mean, they drive these cars a bunch of miles,
Yep.
make sure nothing's wrong with them, do the build. Then they do that again. Then they run them down the track. And, you would know because you're friends with them. But
yeah,
I mean, to me, that kind of quality control is something every shop should just look forward to.
Yeah.
But is that something that they did there at Saline?
Yeah, absolutely. So that was part of my job, is to go drive the car, data log it, make sure everything looked within spec. Now, we're not trying to squeeze every last ounce of horsepower.
Well, right,
out of
because
it.
you got to have, and they're sending these cars all over the place.
Yeah.
And fuel's different everywhere.
Yep.
So
yeah, so that's there's a lot that goes into it. But yeah, so we definitely did a lot of QC on it, and we tried to do the best we could. But yeah, and for me though, I kind of wanted to do more, I guess, custom tuning at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and so and later on, I've kind of learned like I need to. I don't know. It depends on now where the industry's going. It's hard to do everything custom, right? And it's hard to make money doing everything custom.
you don't have a
honestly.
choice with GM until the C8
Yeah,
because we didn't have wide bands.
yeah,
Because GM hates us.
yeah, yeah. Well, now the 24 Silverados have widebands too.
Yeah, well, so did the Saturn Ion.
Yeah,
back
well,
in the
yeah,
day too.
Yeah. Oh, I had a couple of SS
Or
too.
the what?
A couple of SS had
Yeah.
widebands too. In
That's what I'm
08.
saying.
Really?
4 cylinders, 6 cylinders, all wide bands.
Yeah.
Didn't matter if it was like a Buick Lucerne or whatever. They had wide bands.
Yeah.
But the performance cars, never. I never understood that.
They didn't want us to go fast.
I don't know if you know why or not, but we do have a killer flex fuel.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can't argue with that, I guess. Do you speak to people at GM? Do you have any inside there? Or?
Yeah. Actually, I do have a couple of people that I speak to at GM quite regularly, just because I met them. Well, when I was doing stuff with HP Tuners on Power Tour, I used to go on Power Tour with HP Tuners, and GM was a big sponsor of that.
Right.
So I ran into some of their calibration guys there, and then I got a buddy, and him and I, we'll every year at Power Tour, when he was still doing it and I was still doing it, we would have at least one beer together, and we just sit and bullshit about whatever. Nice. And then he'll call me periodically, and he was like, "Oh, He's like, "Oh, I heard the C8. You guys something's going on C8." I'm like, "Oh, I don't know, So, but yeah, so it's yeah, it's been cool. But yeah, I've met some people there, and those guys are pretty awesome to work with too. Not like I'm working with them, but
Yeah.
there's cool,
Right.
like one of them actually bought an HP Tuners device from me because they all use HP Tuners on their So I came back here to Houston, was with them for a while, sold them my dyno, started doing freelance work. I did some stuff with Serious Horsepower. That was like probably mid to late 2014, something like that. I can't remember exactly. And so all that time, I had been talking to Eric Brooks when I was at Saline, because he was, we were wanting to do, HP Tuners was wanting to expand their horizons in more of the Ford market, and the Coyote especially. And so that's when they were trying to come out with the support for the Coyote. And so that's what I was kind of working with him on some of that stuff.
You want to explain who Eric Brooks is in case they don't know?
Yeah, so Eric Brooks is like the Ford guru at HP Tuners. he does a lot of the reverse engineering. He had his own company called Brook Speed, so he was a tuner himself. Very, very intelligent guy. Very cool guy. I mean, he'll take the shirt off his back to help you if he can. And so, he's super awesome. Like, I can't say enough good things about Eric Brooks and what he's done for the industry.
A lot of the guys at HP Tuner seem like real car guys that I've,
Yeah.
all the ones that I've conversed with.
They've always
because
had
I just got a phone number like a year ago.
Yeah.
Even though I've been tuning with them since 2011.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's a trick to finding her number, but I don't want to release the trick right now. But yeah.
Wait till the end for the number.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you call them, they've got it's all set up like for tech support.
No, I got a phone number to a person.
Oh, yeah.
I felt like up there. And he answers.
Yeah.
That's it. You do this. And I know you knew him, but I didn't know him. And, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Tech support.
Yeah. So I was talking to Eric, and then I'd also got acquainted with Jay Payson. And Jay Payson was the director of sales and marketing. Jay Payson was employee number 2 at HP Tuners. Been with them since the beginning, basically, right? He was one of the main guys at Super Chips before Super Chips custom tuning, i.e. SCT, came to fruition.
Never knew that's what that stood for. Mm-hmm.
Jay Payson, very awesome guy. But then, so he worked at HP Tuners for a long, long, long time. And then...
is SCT still around?
SCT, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so...
I heard they weren't, then they were. I just
No,
don't know.
Derive bought him like probably 5 years ago or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and so they've just kind of, they've been trying to revamp some stuff. And
I remember when I went to UTI, that's what they used, Super Chips or Diablo to teach.
Yeah.
Which, funny enough, it's the only course I got a B in.
Yeah.
Was Super Street.
Well, what's interesting is they're like Super Chips is owned by Holly now, right?
Everything is owned by Holly.
But Super Chips
Bosch just bought everybody, right?
Well, I don't know if they bought Holly though.
I think they did.
I mean, I know
Bosch bought a lot of people.
Bought Motec and
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Damn.
Buying them all up.
Yeah, but it's just interesting because Super Chips Custom Tuning, i.e. SCT, is a completely different company now. But you know what I mean? So it's just weird how everybody kind of knows everybody, right?
Right.
But Jay is like I call him one of the godfathers of tuning because he tuned the world's fastest Lightning way back in the day, but he was tuning with via fax machine. They would fax him a dyno sheet, and then he was doing it in hex, and he was just like, they didn't know exactly where the math table was. They didn't know where anything was, but they were just, they were figuring it out. But like that was like hardcore stuff. And then they send a floppy disk or whatever. From what I remember him telling me, and then they would load that file on and burn it onto the chip, and then put it into the car, and then send him another dyno graph via fax.
It's funny. We were talking to Titan about how they were tuning the supers back in the day and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, people think they're tuners nowadays. And you have no clue what these guys were going through before.
Yeah.
You didn't have any data. You were just, I hope this one works.
So, and then, Jay, stopped tuning out, later on because he was doing all kinds of other stuff. But so he's one of my mentors. Like, I wouldn't be where I am right now without Jay.
Yeah.
So, and Jay's, so this is where the story starts to unfold further. So I'm in Houston. My girlfriend had moved out to California with me while I was at Saline. Mm-hmm. And then we ended up moving here to Houston. And then we ended up going down to Florida. So I got offered a job at the tuning school. So I went to tuner school, and I got offered a job at the tuning school. So I went down there, and
you attended it.
Oh, I never attended the tuning school. I attended tuner school.
Clarify that one.
Yeah, Hennessy Tuner School.
Right.
And the tuning school is a separate company.
Right. But they're not, and the tuning school is not by HP Tuners, even though it looks like that from the outside.
Yeah, because they had a close relationship.
Right. Okay.
And HP Tuners sold their books and their content.
Okay.
On their website.
I was gonna say, because that's a gray area. A lot of people don't realize that they're not actually related, but they're kind of
right.
They're good buddies.
Yeah. So that was kind of my first foray into teaching tuning, right? And so, but to learn how to teach somebody to tune, you have to learn so much more about tuning to be able to explain it in a way to which it makes sense to somebody who's never tuned a car before, right? And so like that taught me in and of itself so much more about tuning in general.
Yeah. The way that I think they approach it, I think is a little, I don't know, but I know there's a reason to do it, right? But they're like, this is the value we put here because we found that works. And I'm like, but what does that do?
Right.
But I guess if they sat there and went in depth on what everything did, you'd
So
be in a lot more trouble.
We always had the idea or operate under the idea like you're not going to become a tuner overnight, right? But we try to get them comfortable.
Some people do. They buy that pro cable, instant tuners.
Yeah. Well, you gotta have a wideband too. Or
Oh, I don't know, man.
sniffer in a tailpipe, and
You've seen crazier, I know.
yeah, yeah. But so
So how did they come up? How do they? I'm drawing a blank here, but basically, how do they deal with that strategy versus actually going in depth? When I first learned, I learned from a guy, Michael King Zippy from Vegas, and the way he taught me was so different than the way the tuning school teaches. And I guess to me, I was like, oh, that's not right. But the way that they teach will get you there. The way that he was teaching is literally, I had to fly out to Vegas for 3 days just for Gen 3.
yeah,
And then for Gen 4, you had to do Gen 3. And then Gen 4 was another like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
And it's every button and what it does and how it affects it and what the values are doing. And it was very in depth.
So, and we would go in depth. So like if you do a private seminar with us, then that's when I got into all the.
Okay. So that's things I don't know because I haven't done the tuning school or any of that.
Yeah.
But I do sit in at like PRI and all those.
Yeah. So like the Learn at Home course is one thing. Like that's kind of giving you the ability to understand what you don't know, right? To a degree. Like once you get the Learn at Home course, you spend some time with it, get familiarized with just opening the software and learning how to navigate through it. And then, you're following the procedure that they give you that we would write. And yeah, you're not learning all the intricacies of what's going on, but you're getting comfortable with the process. You're getting more confident. And
Well, it'll fast track you, I believe.
yeah. So, but it's giving you pieces of the puzzle, right?
Right.
And then you say, okay, hey, do you want to do a private seminar? You want to do a live seminar? Live seminar wouldn't be as in depth because we've got 15 to 20, 25
That's kind of what they do at like PRI. They do like that live seminar thing.
Yeah, and
I've sat through a couple of those.
And that's still better than just a Learn at Home course because you can still ask more specific questions and you're in person and it helps. But then a lot of those guys would say, hey, I want private instruction. And so then we do the private seminar. And then that's where we get really into the nuts and bolts and everything. But if that same individual called and said, hey, I want a private seminar, and they came out and did a private seminar, they would not get anything from it because they wouldn't even have enough idea of what's going on.
Just like how he did, you had to do his Gen 3 course to do Gen 4.
Yeah, like
you had to run before you can walk.
Yeah, exactly.
Walk
So like the Learn at Home course is almost like a prerequisite. Like, so you had to have been through this process to understand what you don't know.
Right.
And have a better idea of what questions you need. You can ask, you can use your time with a private seminar more effectively. If you have had
if you already know, where the buttons are.
Yes.
That's what I would say, where the buttons are.
That
right.
in and of itself could take a day and a half.
Probably longer than that.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on the person and everything. Everybody has different ways of learning and all that.
I'm slow.
And then I actually do like some private seminars too out of my shop as well. I don't really publicize it or anything.
Are you teaching C8?
I can.
Because I'm here.
Yeah. So no,
I don't know that I want to get into that one, but yeah.
Yeah. So it's so it worked out pretty well. I mean, we had plenty of happy customers, and if they, and
Well,
then
I
we
know
also
a lot of people that have gone to it and they liked it. I haven't personally mostly because it's $1,500.
Yeah.
But I would like to do it at some point just to kind of see it, because a lot of people ask me all the time. They're like, "Man, where do you learn?" I'm like, "Well, I learned from a guy in Vegas. I don't think he does it anymore."
Yeah.
I've
heard of him before though.
Yeah,
I think I might have talked
that
to him.
dude's he's a genius, and honestly, just like your mentor, I wouldn't be here without him.
Yeah.
He took a chance on me, and I'm very grateful for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Evans Performance Academy, EPA. Funny enough. Do you know those guys at all?
No, I haven't talked to them.
Apparently, I think he was like a Honda tuner, and I think the EPA went after him. So his tuning school is Evans Performance Academy, which is EPA. Funny enough. But I did their online stuff, and I was very surprised that their Gen 5 stuff, while I don't agree with everything, which who's going to agree with everything, that was the most beneficial tuning class I've ever taken or I've ever been a part of. But he does go in depth, and I did have to watch the videos a few times. But so I'd be curious how that compares, because when I looked in the tuning school, it was, I don't know, 2017, 2016, and it was real generic, right? Which I get what you're saying now. Now it makes a little more sense, but I haven't really talked to anybody about that. But the way they described it to me made sense, right? It's kind of like, we put that value there because this works. Because if he sat there and told you every value, I don't think you would comprehend it. Yeah. But I was coming from a place of, I had already known what most of those were, or in my own mind,
that helps
what it did. Yeah. I think that made it worse for me, because I'm like, no, you need to know this and this. And I'm like, well, if I was starting from here, maybe that's the case.
Yeah.
So,
but nonetheless, it was a
you
great.
taught with them for a while, right?
Yeah, for about 8 months or so.
Yeah.
That was
like that 7 or 8 month
thing,
thing,
I know. It's weird. I was about to say, like, that was kind of like my magical time.
He's like, learned what I got to do next.
Well, yeah. So, it's just, I wanted to come back to Houston. I
stopped leaving home.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I moved to an island, but I still got a place here.
Yeah. And it was cool because I did a lot of R&D work when I was there on Ford stuff, because they were coming out with their first Ford tuning book. And I basically was heading up that whole thing.
Yeah.
And so that was cool. That was rewarding to see that from start to finish.
Who's their Ford guy? Bob
Morreale?
Bob Morreale?
Yeah, he's the owner of the tuning school.
Oh, didn't know that.
Yeah. So,
I actually talked to him at the PRI thing. And I was like,
Bob's a cool guy.
Very cool guy.
Yeah, super nice. They were great people to work for. Bob and Mandy, his wife.
Okay.
But yeah, so they were very welcoming to me, going to Florida, showing me a good time.
What part of Florida are they in?
It's Odessa is where they're at. It's like,
that's confusing.
Yeah, right. 30 minutes, it's like 30 minutes west. Sorry, 30 minutes east of Tampa.
Nice. Okay, I was about to say, you go west of Tampa.
Yeah.
That's in the water.
Yeah, it rains like all the time.
That's
when
Florida.
I was there. Yeah. It was like, man, I think we could use some more rain. Not getting enough rain here.
Yeah. It's like 1 o'clock. It's like
you got to have functional air conditioning. My Firehawk did not like it there.
Yeah,
my air
because the
conditioning
streets
was like,
are hot and that rain hits.
Yeah, I couldn't see.
I did a lot of tuning for a bunch of guys that were in Clearwater, Florida.
Yeah,
because they were at Eglin Air Force Base.
Yeah, about 20-30 minutes south.
Which don't speed on that base.
Yeah,
that is scary.
Wow.
Have you ever been to Eglin?
No.
Okay, you speed on that base, you might get shot.
Really?
Yeah, they don't play.
Yeah, well, you got Jay Sodif there, Joint Special Operations Task Force there.
Yeah, and they got that crazy building there that they can make like negative 40 degrees or like 200 degrees. They put airplanes in it and test them. And people from other countries.
There's a lot of stuff going on there.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Am I supposed to say all that on here? Anyways.
That's sick.
It's wild. But I did a lot of cars tuning there, and every time I'd go there, it's like 1 o'clock, it would rain. And if you didn't have AC, because my RX-7 didn't have AC back in the day, oh yeah, then windows clouded right up and you were in trouble.
Yeah. So yeah, that was like, I didn't get my AC fixed.
Yeah.
And Stephanie's like, we need to get rid of this thing. So eventually I did get rid of it and I got a CTSV. So yeah.
2, 1?
Gen 2.
V2.
Yeah.
There we
V2,
go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, 2011.
Best vehicle GM ever made.
2011 coupe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The best body style. I don't care what y'all say.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to hate on the coupe, even though they don't understand style. I get it.
Yeah, no, that's
It's like a Batmobile if they make
That's
them.
right.
Yeah.
And everybody loves the Batmobile.
Yeah, they look nice.
yeah. So yeah,
Nice.
it's
I'm sensitive on that one because I like the coupe, even though I own 2 sedans as well. Everybody hates on the coupe. They're like, oh, wagon. You know why the wagons are worth money? Because nobody wanted that shit.
Now?
Now they want it because it's rare.
Yeah.
with a manual.
Didn't nobody want that shit?
Yeah.
Yeah, with a manual,
Yeah, I
with
don't
no sunroof, in purple.
Yeah.
That's 100 grand easy.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
All right,
no,
so we're back to...
Yeah, so I was doing stuff at the tuning school. It was a lot of fun. Did a lot of work on the Ford tuning book, and I just decided I wanted to have a shop again, start doing more stuff on my own.
You wanted a shop?
Yeah, I know. I don't know
purpose?
what I was thinking.
Okay, I'm just curious.
Yeah. Well, it's got its ups and its downs, but yeah,
A lot of downs, little ups.
Yeah, it's the little ups to keep you going.
Yeah, it's as I've said, it takes a special person to run a shop, and I'm not good at that. I like being the migrant tuner.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't have that in me to hate life that much.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. You just
but
gotta go
you're
wake up in the
definitely
morning,
doing it though.
put your boots on and keep moving on. You know,
Checking.
You're special. That's what we're gonna go with. You got the drive, and it's respectable.
I appreciate it. Yeah. So, so the tuning school was cool. It was a great time. It taught me a lot and learning how to teach other people how to tune. And it was very rewarding to see people like light bulbs coming on. They're doing the process. That was cool. And that also, honestly, the more I've taught tuning, the more customers I've gotten. You think like, man, you're teaching your competition, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, not really. It kind of builds credibility, I guess. And then people are like, oh yeah, he was at the tuning school. He was and some of those guys that were our students, they still wanted me to tune cars for them.
You know why? Because they run a shop and they realized it's way easier to let somebody that knows what they're doing tune. I tune for a lot of shops that are tuners.
Yeah.
Which kind of helps me because they can see what we're doing. And if, you make a mistake or something, they can catch it. But
yeah, I was gonna say,
tuning and running a shop is very hard.
It's fun. And I
Yeah.
would live and breathe that every day.
He's like, duh.
But no. So well, that's interesting too, because when I had left the tuning school, I wasn't gonna really teach tuning that much because I just wanted to do my own thing or whatever. But what's interesting is some of the shops I was doing tuning for, they're like, hey, I want to learn more about this. Not that I necessarily want to be tuning all the time or whatever, but like if I need to do something small or blah, blah, blah. And so a lot of those guys would come and take courses with me, private seminars. And then that would just help them help me and help me help them. Like, it was a cumulative effort, So I've got some shops now, they're like, oh yeah, like we do a lot, if we develop a package or like I've got a cam that works really well for this car or whatever, they'll be like, yeah, they'll buy the camshaft from me or whatever the parts that I develop for whatever it may be. And then I've got to the point where some of them, they'll just read the file out. We already have kind of like a starting point and they can put that tune in there. Not like the whole tune, but parts of that tune, the strategy to where they can get the car to start up and run and idle. And then so it's like, they're still paying me like full price for everything. Yeah. But it helps them because they can get it done. They get off the rack. They can make sure it's working. And it's like efficient.
Well, and it kind of helps everybody. There's a shop in Chicago, BC Speed. And there's a guy, John Day there. Vito and John Day own the shop. And they kind of started, it was just a bunch of V2 guys that hung out. And I tuned all their cars. And they started a shop because they needed somebody to build their cars. But John, over time, started picking it up. And he does, so if it's like a Gen 4, right? I'll send him a base and he'll run with that.
Yeah.
Gen 5, he's getting there. But it's just kind of cool because once they learn, you're kind of proud of them, right? Yeah. You're like, oh, well, he obviously has been paying attention. Yeah. And then, you send a car out there, God forbid something's going wrong. He knows the data now. And he's like, hey, that's what I'm used to seeing this. I'm not seeing this. Stop. Let's readjust.
And so that's the other thing too. Like it just helps them be better at what they're doing. Right. They can identify problems like, oh man, I got really positive field trims on this bank and not on this bank. Well, I know based off the many times we had this problem before, that's probably an exhaust leak. So I went ahead and checked this out and look, lo and behold, an exhaust leak. Yeah. Whatever.
And it helps both of you.
Or misfire. Yeah, exactly. So so that was really cool. And then I came back here, back into my story.
Back home.
Back on board here. So I came back here and at that point, I actually started my own shop again. But basically what I was doing, I planned to just do tuning. Right, but I wasn't doing migrant tuning. I was going to be a stationary tuner.
It's called brick and mortar.
Yeah.
Was it always called Peitz Performance?
Yeah. So I started Peitz Performance, that brand, in 2014, middle of 2014, where I started doing a lot of remote tuning. I had another shop before that, but then I was with a partner and stuff like that. So my own entity has always been Peitz Performance Tunes.
This is the shop in Katy, right?
No. So when I came back to Houston, I actually was renting a part of Serious Horsepower. So I was doing tuning for them and I had bought a new dyno and Jay Payson let me, funny story about all that, because I was helping him with his S550. That's where I got the S550 stuff, right? Because Jay had an S550. And that's when I was at the tuning school, I was doing development work for the S550 using Jay's car. And so we added the Pro Charger, we added the fuel system, we added this and that. And so every step of the way, I developed the S550 coursework with that and learned on that platform a lot, right, with the S550. And so Gen 1, and so that's when, things just started like with his car, we just went crazy with it. But yeah, so Jay he needed his car dropped off in Michigan because he was going to have what's their names, Livernois. Livernois was going to build an engine for him because they were sponsoring an engine for him for his build, and so he needed his car dropped off there. So I picked up his car and his truck and trailer, and he let me use his trailer on the way back because I dropped the car off at Livernois, and on the way back I picked up my first Mustang dyno from Mustang. They're in Ohio, and then from Ohio drove it back here, right? So, but also in that time, he also needed his car. It was going to be on display at SEMA. And so we dropped it off at SEMA. And so I was driving his car. So I was like, my temporary job was trucking because for a short period of time,
7 months.
For a short period of time after I got out of the Army, I was doing, what is it called? Hot shot loads. Do you remember when?
Be careful how you word things.
Yeah, okay. It was hot shot trucking.
Right.
Sorry.
So I was doing a little bit of that, like while I was after I got out of the Army. Left there, got my MD250, set it up in serious horsepower, got it in the ground there. So we had a DynoJet 248. No, yeah, it was a 248. It was the big
248 XLC or
no low control, but 248X. And it was just a big drum. Mm-hmm. So we had a 248 on one side of the shop, and we had my MD250.
The big drum?
Yeah, big drum.
That's 224.
The 224 is the 24-inch drum. 248 is the 48.
I think it's backwards.
No, I'm pretty sure it's the 248.
Yeah, mine was 224. You're right.
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
So because I had a 224X later on.
That 248 is a weird one.
Yeah, but that was like what Hennessy had and all kinds of. I
remember Aldo Welds had one at one point.
Yeah, no.
And I was like, "What is that?" He's like, "That's a dyno." I'm like, "No, it's not. That's a steamroller."
They also, it looks like that. Also, Kenny Bell has one too, or had one. Because when I was out there, I talked.
They all have main lines now, right?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, but anyway, so we had that 248 and then my MD250. So it's interesting because I could look directly. I put this car on the MD250, put it on 248. You see the differences. And a lot of people still don't understand.
I knew you knew I was going to ask.
Yeah, so 13% usually from SAE Mustang dyno to standard correction DynoJet.
What about SAE DynoJet?
It's like 8% more than usually what my Mustang dyno reads SAE. And depending also, if it's a turbo car, it may not be as different because you got more load and stuff, but there's a few variables there. But I mean, a car that makes 870 wheel on my Mustang dyno, on some DynoJets makes 1,000. Because that's that number, that 13% makes a bigger difference as your number gets bigger, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's kind of crazy.
Well, I know a lot of people talk about, they say, the main lines are way off. And, but PowerFab did it with their DynoJet and their main line, and they were like almost the same.
A lot of people say that too. And
they're like, oh, well, there's no wheels on it. I'm like,
well, LMR just got their main line. LMR just got their main line. And it read, I think, 10. Yeah, because they did it at E-Ray. They dynoed an E-Ray, and I think the front wheels were on the main line, and the rear wheels were on the DynoJet, or maybe it was the opposite way around. But it was like because it's got the motor in the front, so it's like 160 horsepower or something like that.
Right, but
I don't know how it's crazy.
How'd the car not freak out?
Because they should be rolling at the same time.
That's what I'm saying. Because
my dyno it's mechanically linked.
Yeah.
So the ABS is happy. Well, I guess you could probably make it to where, with the E-Ray, I don't know how they did that, but I was
that car was having a heart attack. They have a heart attack anytime anything weird happens.
They made it work, but nonetheless, the main line read within like 10, 15 horsepower what my Mustang dyno reads. Like most C8s make 390 horsepower stock on my dyno, which on DynoJet they're like 430. So 430, 435, something like that.
Yeah.
So, so I had my Mustang dyno set up there, and I was able to see the differences. I learned a lot of different things there. And at that point, that's like you're getting 2015 range. And I was doing the freelance work, but I was doing the tuning for serious horsepower. And at that point, that's when the Mopar stuff started taking off for me, right? So because Mopar was pretty new on the scene, not a lot of people were doing it. They were kind of like afraid. They didn't know. Yeah, people don't.
Did Dodge build it right? Popular. Did Dodge build it right? That's what they were worried about.
Well, so but the GM market was really saturated, And
this is like 2015, 2016?
Early 2015.
Okay.
Yeah. So
it's funny to think GM was all for the tuners before.
Yeah.
And now I don't think they are. I think they hate us. Somebody must have changed.
Yeah, it's more so because of their autonomous vehicle development and all that. Or at least that's what they say. But but nonetheless, that's when the Mopar stuff started taking off. I had tuned a few Mopars before that, probably like 5 to 10 or something like that. Like I tuned like that older one, like I was saying earlier. It's like an '08 Dodge, and that was the first one that had CVT.
6.1?
No, it was a 5.7.
5.7.
Yeah, so it was a Jeep or NGC4, I believe, ECM. Anyway, not that that matters, but that was when they had VVT and they had the neural network, right? And so this car had a Comp 270 cam in it from HHP, and so they had never tried shutting off VVT and shutting off neural network before. And so he was like, see if it works, because I was talking to the main engineer at HB Tuners, and it worked. And so then I struck a relationship with him too. So at this point, I'm talking a lot with Eric Brooks, talking a lot with Jay Payson, and that's when I was doing that whole trip with them, bringing the car around. That was my first time doing SEMA with HB Tuners, and so they had me at their booth, and like that was huge for me. Like just starting my company, like trying to get it really going. I was able to like introduce myself to a lot of people. Yeah. And Jay, like that's why I say I couldn't be where I'm at right now without Jay because of things like that.
Yeah, networking is huge.
So SEMA and doing that was so helpful for me, right? And so thank you, Jay, for everything. But yeah, so that was cool. And then and so just from there, I kind of just continued. I met more and more people at HB Tuners, and so I had kind of been developing that because before when I was at Fast, I did a GT500, and this thing made like 1,020 wheel. And that was when the GT500, like the 5.4. Yeah, the 5.4
Predator motor.
No, it was the
I thought the 5.2 was a Predator.
I don't know. I'm not a Ford guy.
No, it was the 5.4. I can't remember the name for it off the top of my head now. But it's not like the older GT500, like the newer GT500 before they came out with
the newest.
Yeah. Right. So, anyways, but that was pretty cool because nobody had made that much power on a GT500 before at the time, and the tuning was not all there. Like we were just using SAE data, which is like the bare bones stuff, not parameters or vehicle specific vids, like now my brain's not working.
Vehicle specific PIDs.
Yeah, vehicle specific PIDs like DMRs is what I was trying to think of. Direct memory read is what it's called, or just a PID or whatever. So yeah, we just lost everybody. Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, my brain was going another place. I was thinking of this, and yeah. So, but anyway, so if you don't have those DMRs like with a Ford, you are lost in the sauce. You are more or less guessing at what you're doing. Not like because I knew how to tune them.
2014 Vipers.
Yeah, right. Oh, Vipers are a whole Gen 5s.
Yeah, that's not even something you should be tuning with HB Tuners, from what I can tell.
No, so the biggest thing is just what's interesting about the Vipers is you can't get rid of the rear O2 sensors, even if they like you just got to have them there, because if you try to shut them off, it will force it into like this weird open loop situation. Because you can't shut off rear closed loop fuel control, right? So if you don't have the O2 sensors in there, it says, "Whoa, what the hell is going on?" And then the fueling just goes way off. But randomly it'll work fine, and then it'll stop working fine because it goes into closed loop fuel.
That's something I found on like the guys that would take out a rear O2 on like a CTSV to put a wideband in. Yeah, and they tie it up. Yeah, and if you do that, it turns off the closed loop.
Yeah. So it was like that, but there was no way to shut that off in Viper, and they weren't going to develop it any further. And so that was just one of the things I learned, like a little tidbit for anybody out there. It's if you got a Gen 5 Viper or whatever, you don't have rear O2 sensors in, you're tuned with HB tuners.
What got me was that to tune them, you have to do the voltage of the mass air. Yeah. But you can't log it.
Yeah. Well, because I just literally log mass airflow pounds per minute, and I just figure out where I'm at in the table.
I literally just took a regular scan tool can read it.
Well,
so I took that and I made an Excel spreadsheet and just went to different RPM ranges and then did it with different loads. And wrote everything put everything in the spreadsheet, and it worked.
So,
but it was a nightmare.
But like tuning Gen 2, Gen 3 Vipers with SCT, the logging with SCT was even worse. It left more to be desired.
I think it could be worse. There was only like 14 PIDs.
Right. So, but HB tuners, I would log with HB tuners, but with HB tuners, I could create a custom user defined parameter. So I could create Tor, because the earlier Vipers are using Tor as opposed to KPA for manifold pressure.
Did you say Tor?
Tor, TORR.
So
762 Tor equals 100 KPA equals 14.7 PSI.
Say that one more time.
762 torr is equal to like 14.7 psi.
Okay.
100 kPa. Like whatever we're breathing, right? So like obviously that's full throttle.
So what does torr calculate? A calculation of
It's just another unit of measure.
what is it measuring?
Pressure, manifold pressure.
So is this like as in kPa? It's just torr.
Yeah, it's just the same difference as reading using kPa. It's 762.
Look, I'm still trying to calculate kPa in my head. You're throwing in a whole nother thing here.
Yeah. So
you could log that.
well, I made a user defined parameter like so the math. I made a math channel for it.
All right.
So I'm able to see torr because the table was set up for torr and I can't remember what the other RPM. So I didn't know where I was at in the VE table, but it's not actually a VE table in Gen 2, Gen 3 Vipers.
Right.
It's a fuel table. So it's just desired injection pulse width based off
Which is
torr.
weird because it's like it's got wide bands.
Well, it's like the
But it
M800s.
doesn't.
Like if you're tuning an old M800 on Motec, it's just a fuel map, right? So it's
But it has wide bands.
well, yeah.
This doesn't,
No, yeah.
which is weird, right?
Yeah.
Let's get a commanded air fuel of that we can't read.
Yeah. Well, right. But so there's a multiplier for your desired air fuel at wide open throttle that worked just like a PE table, right? So it's like 1.15, it's just commanding 50% more fuel.
Yeah.
So like I just knew what that was. I couldn't log equivalence ratio commanded or whatever, but yeah. So I made that math channel for torr so I could actually log where I was at in the VE or not the VE table, but the fuel map in that case. And so that was what I would use HP tuners to log the Gen 2, Gen 3 Vipers. And then I would make my adjustments in SCT, flash to the SCT, and then log with HP tuners. So, because like I said, I was not particular to one platform.
Right.
I would tune whatever because I thought it was exciting for me to figure it out.
Yeah. The challenge.
Right. Yeah. And as I've gotten older, I'm like, I don't know if I need so many more challenges. But then I still challenge myself in other ways. So I don't know. But
You said you were the first one to tune the Hellcats.
yeah. So me and one other guy on the same day, I think I tuned one and he tuned like 15 minutes later or something. So yeah, so I was getting to that with my relationship that I had fostered with HP tuners. At this point, they were using me to help them just test stuff, right? Because they needed a person in the real world to test it. Because they didn't have a bunch of people, on their staff to do that. So they were, software engineers developing this stuff. And like the main engineer, he used to be a tuner as well, but then he just pretty much went all development with HP tuners. So he was like, yeah, I'm working on an unlock because I had a customer who had a Hellcat at serious horsepower. And, we wanted to tune it. And I knew that like it was something we were wanting to do. And so I ended up sending him the ECM and he did the unlock. He had just figured out the unlock on the ECM. He sent it back to us and then we tuned it. And if you go to YouTube, it's called Hellcat Hacked on Serious Horsepower's YouTube page. And I think it like went like bonkers. Like it was crazy. I was like, I remember being with my friends because we went down to like Galveston or whatever for the weekend. But that was like 2 days after that video posted. I think it had like 1 million views in like a day or something.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Link it below.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the first Hellcat tune, and I tuned that
Damn.
at serious horsepower. And then it just,
So you started the madness.
yeah. Yeah. So actually, you know what? What is that?
What about
Yeah.
the trans tuning on the Hellcat?
So actually, that was before I went to the tuning school. I'm getting my
Your ears mixed up.
Yeah, I'm getting my ears mixed up a little bit, but yeah, that was before I went to the tuning school because I remember being at the tuning school and working on the transmission stuff. So HP tuners, like they had, because when I was at the tuning school, I was also working on the Hellcat course when I was at the tuning school. So I'm sorry, it's hard to keep it all straight.
Well, you've done so much cool stuff.
Yeah, so when I was because that was the thing, I did the Ford stuff and I did the Hellcat stuff because they also wanted me to help them with the Hellcat stuff. So because I had tuned that Hellcat. So yeah, that was before because I was at Serious Horsepower twice. Because I was doing the freelance work.
Right.
So it was when I was doing the freelance
Migrant.
work. Yes, the migrant tuning. Yeah. So it was when I was doing the migrant tuning. At that point, I meant no offense to you by that.
I like it. I'm down. I'm going to use it. So you trademark it. I'm using it.
All right. Well, I get $5 every time you use it.
Fair enough.
Nice. Anyways, but yeah, so that was before. But yeah, so when I was at Serious Horsepower working out there before is when I had done it. But anyways, so yeah. And then we came back. Let's circle back around. But yeah, the Mopar stuff really started taking off. And yeah, because I was doing some Mopar stuff here and there, even when I was at the tuning school, like part-time, like not part-time, but
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the trans tuning for those?
Yeah. So anyways, so that's what I was talking about.
Okay.
Go backtrack a little bit here. When I was at the tuning school and I had a Hellcat there, we were developing a Hellcat tuning course. We were doing it online first.
I bought that. Thank you.
Yeah, because so maybe you remember. So yeah, I can't remember the years are. It's so hard because
Trust me, I know. We're getting old.
Because people are like gonna fact
That's what
check
it
me,
is.
like, wait a second, no, I'm like, sorry, no, I promise I'm not lying. It's just,
Timelines are floating. Okay, it's fine.
yeah, it's in the
From
last
2000 to 2020.
Don't worry. He can go through. Just deal with his editing time, and every time we say a wrong date, hook us up.
yeah,
Sure.
Just like put a little blurb.
He's like,
up
I hate
there.
you all.
So, anyways, but yeah, the transmission tuning, because nobody had tuned a ZF. And so I remember the first time that he like gave me something to try, right? And it was just like, whoop, all these buttons, these tables that nobody knew what they did. And I just started just like, I think I test flashed the transmission first. I remember seeing like the shifter like blinking. I'm like, whoa, what the heck's going on there? And then, and then I was like, I thought it was so cool though, because it's like going into the unknown.
Because it is.
Yeah, like being on the bleeding edge, as we call it, And so that was really a lot to just soak up and learn.
I was just amazed with some of the Hellcats I've done. No, I don't tune Hellcats. Some of the Hellcats I've done. Just so I dragged one, right? Which don't post that in the Hellcat groups because they'll tell you don't know how to drive. Because clearly I don't drive fast cars. It ran like a 9.7 multiple times.
60 to 130. Wow.
It was pretty atrocious.
Yeah.
But just you could tell like the shifts just were lacking, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wonder how much this trans can do because I'm a trans tuning nerd. That car went like an 830 just by cleaning up the transmission. But every time you tell it to do something, it did it immediately. So I was just very impressed by that trans.
Yeah, no, I like the ZF a lot.
Like
And
that
yeah,
thing, the tuning for it is one of the things I've noticed. A lot of the bigger tuners don't really mess with the trans tuning a lot. They kind of leave a lot of it mostly stock.
What tuner
But the capability that HP Tuners has into that makes me hate them for the capability we don't have in the GM 8-speed.
It wasn't always like that though. It was very rudimentary. It was like
It's phenomenal now.
yeah. So and I actually did a lot of testing for them as they would add more table. Like they did all that reverse engineering. Chris Piastri did most of that. His son's an F1, Oscar Piastri. I don't know if you guys knew that.
Nope.
So, yeah, Chris Piastri is one of the co-owners of HP Tuners. And so
I'm learning so much.
So Chris is a phenomenal engineer. He's an amazing guy. Super, super smart. But yeah, so I thought that was interesting.
Do you feel like, okay, so not to go back on the whole Viper thing, but sometimes I feel like HP Tuners gets into something and then I don't know if they just can't, there's not enough interest to keep going, or maybe they just hit a wall. But with the Viper thing, I mean, I was pretty let down that I paid $1,000 in credits and I couldn't log anything. And then they said they would have this pedal reset.
Yeah.
Because you got to relearn the pedal every time you flash it. And that's not in the scanner. On the 14, I had to use a scanner to relearn it. Sometimes you got to do it a couple times before it'll idle right.
Yeah.
But do you feel like, is that kind of how, or I don't know, I know you don't speak for them, but is it just seem like was it just like a loss of interest? And then the Hellcat was the new thing? Or
I think that was because Keith, one of the other owner of HP Tuners, Keith Prochek, super cool guy too, extremely intelligent. He's done most of the scanning stuff or all the scanning stuff until, later when they have more guys helping him or whatever. But so it was like, Keith and Chris doing the heavy lifting in that department. But Keith owned the Viper. And so he just did it to say that he pretty much did it. And not that he didn't want to make it as good as possible, but like, I don't think there was enough demand for it to justify the amount of time to put into it.
I mean, it's $1,000 in credits.
Well, that's because it took him that much time.
Which I get, and I am totally cool for paying for it. Had we gotten more than 14 things to log.
Oh, I mean, I tuned quite a few Vipers with it. I mean, I'm not mad at it. I don't know.
Damn.
We're gonna leave that one alone. I'm very upset with it, but that's just a personal thing.
No, I'm not saying it's not. There's definitely a lot of room for improvement.
Yeah.
So like, as far as why they didn't continue going, I think it's just, not necessarily a loss of interest, but I mean, I think he put AEM on his car because he was doing road racing with it. And then I think the series he was doing required AEM as well. That when he was doing, I think it was, well, he still does Trans Am. He does TA2 racing now. So yeah, if you look him up, but yeah, I don't know why they stopped developing it per se, but I know that, he had that car and that's why he developed it to begin with, because he had it and he wanted to do something cool with it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like
seeming like a trend thing, like, cause they opened up some of the Audi platform.
Yeah.
But a lot of that is missing a lot of stuff that you need to properly calibrate the car. So it's like they got into the Audi and then they were like, oh, let's do it to this one. It's kind of like like their ADHD.
No, I mean, so the Audi
like
stuff.
We start getting into it and then we're like, let's go to this.
The Audi stuff, like that industry, that market is a lot different, right?
Oh, it's super different.
And you can do because I actually went to HP Tuners and demonstrated the capabilities of the Audi tuning for them, and also the Volkswagen. And so we did some Audi R8s, not R8.
Huracan?
RS3.
No,
RS3.
no, the RS, the four-door one that had a 4.8 liter
It has a 5-cylinder.
twin turbo. No, not 5-cylinder. No, twin turbo, 4.8. Cannot remember the name of
The RS7?
Yes, I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah, 4-door, twin turbo, 4-cylinder, not 4-cylinder, 8-cylinder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, there's a
You
lot.
tune too many cars.
Yeah, anyways, but so then they had some different offshoots of that engine.
So was it just lack of being able to find certain PIDs or?
No, I mean, like most people don't do that much with them. They throw some different turbos on them, downpipes and intake, and then they're good, Like, so we actually, we had one that was tuned with another company. I can't remember the company right now. And then we tuned it with HP tuners, and I still made 40 more horsepower than the other company did, and it was fine. Like the whole thing about the Audis, like they basically tune themselves. Like there's no MAF table, there's no VE table. It's Bosch ECM, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just based off of desired load and actual load, and desired torque and actual torque. And I just made it think it was making less torque than what it was.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what they are. They're tuned into boost and everything like that.
Yeah.
You're just kind of pulling limiters and telling it what it's allowed to do.
It's just determining how much fuel to put in based off the amount of cylinder fill that it sees.
So
right?
do you feel like the Golf R has enough to properly calibrate if it was modified pretty heavily? Can you adjust the injection or any of that?
I did that one Volkswagen Golf. I think it was a Golf.
Golf R?
I don't know if it was a Golf R.
They did one in the UK. They had a video about it.
Yeah. So whatever the Volkswagen that's supported by HP Tuners is one that I did. Mm-hmm. And I mean, there were some things that they still need to add on the Volkswagen more specifically.
Do you think that they're going to, or do you
Audi
feel like they're just...
has a lot of tables though.
It does. I was
RS7
more,
it is
I was
RS7,
more for the Golf and the RS3 stuff.
Okay.
But
yeah.
Do you feel like they're still pushing to that?
Yeah. So the thing is, like,
and why don't they do BMW?
They just lately started to expand their horizons. They want to be able to tune basically everything, right? But
that seemed
requires
like they were leaving a lot of things on the table on the way there.
Yeah.
That ADHD brain deal.
Yeah. So with that, I mean, they started adding more engineering manpower, and they want to just, expand the horizons and get into other markets. Yeah. And yeah, I feel like, definitely there's ways to improve it.
And don't misunderstand. I am extremely grateful for HP Tuners. Obviously, I wouldn't have a career if it wasn't for HP Tuners. Not that I don't do standalones, because I do, but HP Tuners has been a big part of my business, and I'm super grateful for them. But I feel like they're a big enough company that maybe we can tie up some of these loose ends. And if,
I think
there's plenty of people that are willing to help get there. But I know they,
Yeah, I think they're just one that expand the horizons, get into other markets, and kind of test the waters a little bit and see what may stick and what may not. Right, because it's a lot of money to tie up and
I'm sure the development's got to be insane. Yeah, especially messing with all these OE computers.
Yeah, so it's I can't speak for them, of course.
No, I know.
But I feel like
we're just
don't cancel Justin HP Tuners. Right?
Please don't cancel me. I need you.
Yeah, but I'm extremely grateful for HP Tuners as well, and they've done a lot of fantastic stuff. And yeah, some of those other platforms they've gotten into, you're not going to do some custom crazy engine and whatever, but they weren't necessarily going for that, I don't think.
I think we're just spoiled with what I'm able to do with GM.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I want to do that with everything.
That's what they cut their teeth on.
Yeah.
as GM. You know, because they owned I think they owned like Keith and Chris. They met each other on a forum, and then they they had V6 Firebirds or something like that, and they swapped LSs into them. I don't know the exact story. That's kind of how that started.
Well, I had a V6 Camaro, so
And they had another
basically
owner
brothers.
at the time too that they had met at the time, and so all those three of those guys got together and they formed HB Tuners, and
and then took over the industry.
yeah, I mean,
They're a mecca now.
yeah,
You can't even go inside their building.
Why not?
I don't know. They wouldn't let me in.
He can.
Right. I'm not special. He's special.
yeah, no. So it's just yeah, I mean, they're a fantastic company though. They've done a lot for me, and you know.
They've done a lot for the industry.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
For sure, we wouldn't be where we're at with them without them.
100%.
You know, so yeah.
Anything else on the Hellcats?
Sorry for derailing.
Yeah.
The
Look,
demon?
man, I just want to hear it.
Oh, you're good. Did you work on the demons?
Yeah. So
They
trying
called
to
him
think.
Demon Daddy. You didn't know that?
no, so I can go. I'll go into that in a sec. So
C8 Daddy.
He was Demon Daddy. Now he's C8 Daddy.
Oh, I didn't know that. Are you serious?
No, I just made that up.
I was like, are you
no, I
serious?
used to be like hashtag Mr. Hellcat is what I put on one of my hashtags.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I did a lot of Hellcats, and I still do them. People are like, you don't do Hellcats anymore? I'm like, no, I do, but I put so much time and money and effort into the C8 platform to get where I'm at right now.
Isn't it funny how when you
that's-
expand your horizons, people think you forget how to do things?
Yeah.
When I twin turboed my CTSV, my blower customers, some of them were like, oh, well, he does more turbo stuff, so maybe I'll try this tuner here.
Yeah.
And they call me, they're like, well, I tried so-and-so, and I blew my car up. And I'm like, we didn't forget superchargers, right?
Yeah.
Like, we can do more than one thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So
They
it's
probably think you specialize in that now, you know?
It's not that. It's like when you start a new platform, it takes a lot of time.
Yeah, but the consumer sees like,
Well, they need to open their eyes. I don't know what to tell you.
yeah. So yeah, no, I get it. And that's we've got something special cooking for the Hellcat. We're coming out with our twin turbo kit for it. And so that's
You
going
got
to
to release that at the end. Calm down.
Yeah.
Calm down.
nah, you're good. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so that's what I'm working on. Well, it's ready.
Now, is this is going to be explain the kit a little better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
so this is
Sorry, I don't want to go. Man, I'm spoiling everything here now. But
we're in it now, baby. Let's roll.
Yep.
So it's twin intercoolers. It removes the factory blower.
Bell intercoolers.
Bell cores.
That's important.
One's up there.
Not no crap core.
Yeah. So so they bolt to the crash bar actually, and then they're low mounted. Well, not mounted next to the transmission, right? And then we tuck them up as tight as possible, and then we run the charge piping through the suspension, not under the suspension.
Right.
So
So it's not dragging the ground.
no clearance issues at all, and so we go through, and then we've got the twin intercoolers.
So you maintain 100% ground clearance as a factory?
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Never
a big
thought
deal.
about it like that, but
That's
yeah,
a big deal.
Is that
Yeah.
what makes you different than like the competitors? on
Yeah,
the-
so we have as much clearance as you can absolutely get. Like we made it to where it's not like there's like the part of the subframe that comes down. It's basically like flush with that
Right.
in space. Right.
I've drug a turbo before, so
Yeah, you're not gonna drag a
that's a good
turbo
thing.
on our kit.
It happens.
Right. So that's, and then we've got the twin intercoolers, which we're really proud of, and then they're like like bullet style intercoolers, if you will, but we make them here in house. We get the cores and we do all the bending and cutting and blah 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 welding, and then it comes up to a merge, which looks pretty sweet, and it goes right to the throttle body and then to the plasma man billet intake.
what if they have a stock intake? Or does the kit come with an intake?
Oh, well, the kit comes with that intake. Now you can, if you
That's
already
a
have
nice
one
kit.
or whatever, then yeah. So yeah,
Oh, duh. Brain fart. It had a supercharger.
Yeah, I was like, what do you?
yeah.
Listen, Linda.
Well, no, I mean, no.
so
you
what
can-
if they want to leave the supercharger?
What if they don't want your intake?
Well, they want it, but they want to put it on a shelf because
Well,
it's
so you wouldn't
frickin'
need that
pretty.
anymore because the supercharger has intercooler in it. But that's the thing. Okay,
Well, what
so
if you want it?
what if you want the
The supercharger too.
so you
Remember,
want
there's people that are
so you want the
retarded
dual
like me.
the dual intercoolers and you want the supercharger. See, the thing is,
I want everything
the supercharger kind of becomes a restriction at some point.
at some point. But how
Right.
big of turbos are coming with this kit?
Well, a lot of our customers, as far as I could tell from my market research, a lot of the customers that we will probably have are guys that had Whipples on their car, and they want to go more, or they want to do the Texas Mile. We're having a lot of problems with some. Not that I don't love Whipples, but I had not just Whipples. It's not just Whipple.
Calm down. Dustin's gonna listen.
Yeah, I like Dustin. Dustin's a really cool guy. Him and I.
I don't know. I was just saying.
No, him and I. Shoot
I ask all the time why he hates GM because he gave Ford all the good blowers.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so not just. It's
So
not.
you're saying if they're going from the 3.6 to
Yeah, so like, well, 3.8. There's a 3.8
yeah.
3 liter.
Yep.
But yeah, so not just a Whipple thing. It's just a PD blower thing that I've had problems with at the mile. Like quarter mile, no problem. Half mile, usually okay. Texas Mile, problem, because they build so much heat and so quickly. And if you're trying to,
Camshaft selection.
yeah, but like that comes into play. But
Heavily.
I'm just saying, as far as the blower itself,
Turbos make heat too.
yeah, but I had 3 blowers lock up in a row.
So where's the restriction?
The blower becomes the restriction.
Yeah.
He's not wrong,
No.
but for
Are you
the
talking
average
about-
customer,
Are you talking about with the dual?
Yeah, with like the power.
Well, the dual power outer. You
Yep.
mean? Yeah, I'd say if you're trying to make like 1,000 wheel with the blower and the turbos, and you take off the blower, you probably make like 1,100.
but your power curve will be this big versus
Right?
this.
Yeah, the blower helps
So-
that aspect of it, but
The plasma man would be far more superior than the
For
the
big
capable-
power, obviously, yes.
Yeah.
But I'm just, just asking for the few people because I guarantee you, you're gonna get asked.
Yep.
yeah, and
Can
for that,
you run the blower as well?
not with our current setup, no. And you wouldn't necessarily. It's not really designed for that. It's not.
You wouldn't want to run it.
2 turbos, yeah.
No, I'm saying you wouldn't run to run, you wouldn't want to run the blower set up as
Yeah,
you
set
would
up
want
with-
the plasma man.
Yeah. So I mean, the market likes it because the reason people, as far as I can tell, the reason a lot of people still run the blower is because you don't have to pay for different air coolers. It's a cheaper kit, right? That's what it boils down to, money, right? And you can make a lot of power with twin turbos and using the factory blower, and it's a lot of power for people, and they're happy with it. And you don't have to buy different air coolers. You don't have to run different lines. You don't have to do, that's all. It's like, it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
Are you talking about turbo and into the factory blower with no extra intercooler?
Yes, that's what everybody else does.
That sounds like a horrible idea
Yeah.
to me, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
I think that's the
Come at me if you want to. Sounds like a terrible because
I think that's the Helion kit.
you've measured temperature coming out of a turbo.
like Ripa
before.
does it too.
Who?
Ripa?
Ripa
Ripatune?
Performance,
Yeah.
What?
right? Ripa
Ripatune?
Ripatune?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you ever measured like outlet temperature, I mean, you're gonna feed that into something that's already hot.
They do it, and it does work.
I'm not
but
saying it
it's-
doesn't work. I'm just saying it doesn't seem to.
That's why I'm not selling it like that. You know what I mean? Because
But you're gonna have a way to cool it first.
Before, yeah.
yeah. I mean, so the problem there's limited room with what we had to do. Like the Plasma Man is already gave us a lot of problems just because the snout is like right there, right? And then so we had like this much space, so we had to do this like custom merge deal, and it goes to the throttle body. But then we take a stock throttle body and we weld a flange on it so you can run a V band.
So this is not a factory plasma man. This is a custom plasma man for
No,
that.
it's a factory Plasma Man for a 6.4.
So if in the comments people are saying that they want the supercharger too, would you make a kit for that?
Yeah, I could. Yeah, it's just that's
I feel like that's going to be asked for sure.
So I'm probably gonna do it with the.
Oh,
with
and does it work on the Charger, Challenger, and
yeah,
Trackhawk?
yeah. So like all those cars wouldn't have a blower anyways. You know what I mean? So
what he's talking about,
I'm talking about the
Hellcat in different variances, but this kit will also go on the,
The 392.
cars that aren't
Oh,
Hellcats.
okay, got you. Nice.
Clarified.
Yeah.
Are the heads for the Hellcat and the Scat Pack different?
Yes. So the Plasma Man billet intake is actually for a 6.4, right?
Okay.
So
Which is the Apache head?
yes.
Why do I know that? Yeah. All
But
right.
it's the
go ahead.
Closet Mopar
It's
guy.
the same. It's the same head as the Red Eye, right? The Red Eye and the Hellcat.
So the Red Eye actually has a different head than the Hellcat. The Red Eye has a different, slightly different valve design. So like the valve spring that you put on a Hellcat is not the same valve spring that.
Oh, that's right. They usually upgrade to the.
Can't
Red
remember
Eye.
what exactly it is on the valve spring that's different. Like it's not the retainer, but it's something else, and how it rides on the valve.
But the valve placement is the same?
Yeah, valve placement's the same, but it's just like literally like the design is just a little bit different. And then also, I think it's a thicker deck, or like the thickness of the bottom portion of the
Everybody likes
sunroof.
a thicker deck.
Yeah. So so it's a little stronger,
Come out
I'd
of that
say.
better.
You know, so there are some little other differences. I'm not a cylinder head expert to remember exactly all the intricacies of that, but
All right, well, let me delve into this. Anyways, the heads are the Hellcat heads Rotocast? Do you know?
I don't know. But I
It's
know
like
that,
the LSA LS9 stuff was Rotocast.
Okay.
I would think that when they went supercharged, that maybe they would have done that as well.
yeah, I mean, I know they're a strong head and they flow really well, and we've had great luck with them. And I've never really put an aftermarket casting on a Hellcat platform vehicle. Yeah, so the Red Eye head and the Demon head is slightly different than the Hellcat head. The intake runners are the same, and like you could bolt the blower on the same.
Right.
But yeah,
They usually upgrade the Hellcat head to the Red Eye.
yeah, and our kit actually uses the adapter plates that adapts the 6.4 to the Hellcat head.
You ever talk with Brian Tooley?
Oh yeah, we use his cams.
Because he did a lot of Hemi stuff, Gen 3 stuff mainly, but he's going to start doing some Hellcat stuff.
Yeah.
Heavy.
That'd be definitely something for you to be like.
Yeah,
Get it
no,
done.
him and I talk pretty frequently actually, because I've been using his cams on the C8 stuff.
Yeah. He told us that the cams are real similar to like an LS3 cam.
Yeah,
He said that they're very, very close.
as far as the stock LT2 cam.
No, like what you would use in an LS3, you would use in a Hemi, and they were
Oh, you're talking about him.
they were
Okay.
very close.
All right. Yeah.
Is the Hellcat not a Hemi?
Well, no, I thought you were talking about something else. I'm sorry.
Okay. I was making sure. I'm like, damn,
Well, because I was talking about. I mentioned the C8.
Yeah, I
I'm
thought,
trying to save the C8 stuff.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
that's
no,
going to go very long.
Yeah. So
I thought it was some of the C8s.
sorry. No, but yeah. So for our Hellcat cam stuff or any of our Dodge cams, we have a whole line of Dodge cams. I call them the cradle dropper. I got the CDO one because you chop the
cradle
cradle with the
dropper.
cam in. Yeah. So we had the CDHC cradle dropper Hellcat cam. The CDHC 93 was because we originally designed it for 93 octane because it was a little allows a little more. It lowers the dynamic compression a
Right.
little bit, right? So it opens the intake and exhaust a little longer, just to make it to where we can run a little more boost on 93 and it be a little more forgiving.
A little less cylinder pressure.
Yeah, exactly. So so we did that, but then it works on E85 or whatever too. It's just we call it the CDHC 93. Then we've got like the CDOX, and then we've got CD426, CD426 PD, CT426 CEN, so centrifugal PD. So we got different cams we run for different combinations. And it's like it works really well because it's just the cam that I'm used to using.
Right.
You know, and with the best custom cams become shelf cams.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I know. Everybody's like, oh, I need a custom cam. And I'm like, I run a shelf cam. They're like, no. I'm like, I run a shelf cam.
repeatable,
It works
dependable
great.
results.
Well, and something I learned that when you order camshafts, right, you do a custom cam. If you cam doctor it, like it should be right. But if you order another one, then it may be a little different. But when you order 100 of them at once, they're all run at the same time.
Yeah.
They're all perfect.
Yeah.
So people don't realize the quality control. Yeah, you can send your cam to get cam doctored and all that, but
Yeah.
the quality control behind a shelf cam is typically better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Typically, I don't make cams.
Yeah. No, yeah. So but where were we going?
What were
with
you
that?
talking about? We were just at BTR and he gave us all knowledge. You know cams more than you should know.
What? Yeah, we can't release all that yet. Calm down.
sorry.
No, I was just curious if, for you to push Brian a little more into the Hellcat stuff,
Yeah.
because I feel like that's the only thing. He's interested in it for sure. He's got
Yeah.
a lot of stuff over there, but
Yeah.
he needs somebody to push him a little more.
Yeah.
Because I keep pushing him on the Gen 5 stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I think I'm done. No, you're not. We got more. So
Yeah. No, so
let's get back to our storyline.
Yeah,
What about
We
the
were-
blocks? What do they hold
Calm down,
on the
man.
on the Hellcats?
I mean with the stock like the block in and of itself,
Right.
I mean I made like 1100, 1150.
What's the most
1200.
power you made on a Hellcat?
I heard like 14.
Yeah, well okay.
I saw
1100
gotta make
on,
more
on a
than that.
Mustang dyno.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's like
13%, right?
Yeah, 11 like 1150 on my dyno is like 1270 on a dyno jet. So, most I've made I think I made 1170 on my dyno with a Hellcat that had a 2650 Maggie that was like ported and max effort deal, whatever you want to call it, with a stroker, 426 stroker, E85 with nitrous. But yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't tuned the highest horsepower Hellcats in the world because, it just, most of my customers are not like trying to run sevens at the quarter mile. A lot of my customers are just street car customers. They want to have the car go fast, but they're not trying to turn the earth.
Break, yeah.
You know what I mean? That's
Turn the earth.
I'm not on the top of all the lists out there and all that. Like, I kind of got into that thing for a while, but it's like, I don't know. Like,
it's rough.
I'm like,
It's fun though. Well, it's rough. You're always competing. You live
yeah,
competing. It does keep you on an edge though.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, but at some point you're like, man, I got a business.
Well, at some point you sold the DSM, so you like money now.
Yeah.
Do you think it brings more
on that list? No, when you're chasing stuff like that, you're such a niche little deal. You're not gonna, just like we talked on a Calvo, package stuff is where it's at. That's what people want. People want packages.
100%, and that's where I've focused my efforts too, because
That's why I'm a migrant tuner, not a shop, because I couldn't do that. It just wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
But the people that can do it well.
yeah. So it's just all of my experiences have led to where I'm, kind of what I'm doing right now. But
which is
the C8 with the performance packages.
C8 King.
And,
C8 King.
Yeah.
We got to get into the C8.
Yeah. So we're almost there. All right. So,
damn.
All right. So yeah. So we were talking about Hellcat stuff. We deviated.
We're in
tuning school.
2015.
Yeah. So yeah, we need to fast forward a little bit. But when I came back to Houston after the tuning school and started my new shop, but I was still kind of working out of Serious Horsepower as far as renting a space from them and doing stuff with them. That lasted about 6 months. Yeah. Lower end of my, and not that I didn't like them, but I outgrew it.
No,
you
learn and you move, and you learn and you move, and
yeah.
Some people think that's a bad thing. Those people don't know much.
Yeah. So I got my first brick and mortar, my own building. Like, not my own building, but I was in a industrial complex. Mm-hmm. So I had my own suite, or 2 suites probably. It was like 2,500 square foot. I moved my dyno in there.
Where was this?
On 529.
That's the one in Katy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had 2 different places there.
That was definitely 2 suites.
Well, you're thinking of the second place I had there.
I'm too far ahead.
Yeah.
Let me get back. Go ahead.
So like 2,500 square foot, single, I had 1 lift, and I eventually added a second lift. And then that's when I started getting into more mechanical stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's, started kind of like blossoming or developing into what I have now for the shop. But
they call that glow up now.
What's that?
They call that a glow up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that. So
Gotta stay hip.
I'm not hip with the new terms.
I got kids.
Yeah. I'm just, but yeah, so kept on doing Mopar stuff there and kept on working all that. And then doing Mustangs, some Camaro stuff here and there. And then, then I kept on working on that S550 for Jay. And eventually we ended up making like 1,050 wheel with that thing. That was pretty cool. We made that at the House of Boost when I was on Power Tour with HP Tuners. We did a video. It's out there somewhere on YouTube with, I don't know if you know, you probably do, Eric Ratskins at Pro Charger. Super cool dude. Did it at House of Boost. And so that's cool. He did a video, and when we hit 1,000 with it the first time, Jay was super pumped. And then, and I had my CTSV then, and we were on Power Tour with the CTSV.
Again, best car GM's ever made.
And then around that time, I was like, so at some point, I outgrew that shop, the 2,500 square foot shop, and they were building another section of the complex. And I was like, man, I want an all-wheel drive dyno. Man, I want more space. So I think that was like a 4,500 square foot place or something like that. And they built, because they were building it, so they went ahead and built my dyno pit. And I bought this all-wheel drive dyno. I picked it up from SEMA. So I bought, that was like SEMA 2016? Yeah, SEMA 2016. I picked it up, and my freaking truck broke down. And I was stuck in somewhere, man, I can't remember the name of that place, but I was stuck there for 4 days. My truck was broke down. And so that sucked.
Damn.
And I had my truck with half my dyno, because this is a behemoth dyno. You'll see it out there, right? It's dual eddy current brake, all-wheel drive, adjustable wheelbase. It was the first #1 production model, because they had only had it pre-production. And so that one, may rest in peace. I lost it in Harvey. So 2017, that's when I started really getting into road racing, because I had been doing stuff with Jay with Optima Ultimate Street Car Challenge. Mm-hmm. And I did my first Ultimate Street Car Challenge in 2017 with my CTSV. man, that thing was hard. It was fun on the road course, but autocrossing that thing or doing speed stop, it wasn't very nimble.
No.
I mean, wasn't bad, but like when you compare it to like a C6 or something,
Well, yeah,
you're gonna get
it's also 4,500 pounds.
right. But man, guys, like, man, that thing sounds badass on the front straight, you know? Well, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like
The road course stuff though, the tuning for the road course stuff, that's something that probably 5 or 6 years ago I got into, kind of just guys that asked me about it, and man, you got to do that from what I've seen, like per track.
Yeah.
So when they're going into this turn, you need to get the trans to do this, and that way they don't have to think and do it. And
yeah, I mean, most of the guys just run manuals, you know. If it is auto trans tuning, that is a whole different.
I get all the auto guys,
Yeah, well, yeah,
but and they're like, "Oh, I'll use the paddles." I'm like, "No, you won't.
yeah.
No, you won't, because you have to know that turn's coming up and hit
Yeah.
that paddle back there,
Yeah.
before that thing's gonna shift."
Well, because
Yeah.
that you're going through the BCM before it actually says, "Hey,
Right.
shift."
Yeah,
Whereas
they're like,
the
"You
C8,
can't
it's
fix
like-
that in the tune." No, that's not a tune. It's an electronic latency deal.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
nothing we can do about that.
Yeah, so that's when I started getting into the road racing stuff, and then, man, that was like when was
17,
Harvey?
18?
Was Harvey 2018?
No, Harvey
That
was
was 16.
No, it was definitely
17 or 18.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was.
Oh yeah, 17. It definitely was 17.
Okay, yeah, like because
I remember.
because it was like August or something, right? August 2017.
Yep.
Yeah. So then I lost my dyno in Harvey, my brand new dyno. I only had it for like a year or something like that. And so, also when I had moved back to Houston, I did forget to mention this. I also worked at Samtech for a while, part time, helping them develop their tuning curriculum.
Nice.
And
Oh, that's right. They do tune in school too,
yeah,
don't they?
so they get out their EFI program. I wanted to mention that because the guys at Samtech have been amazing to me, you know, and that's a great program for anybody who wants to learn.
I talked to them about it, and then they gave me a price.
Well,
And I was like, I get it. I can't get it.
yeah, well, a lot of vets go there too because the GI Bill covers it and stuff.
Okay. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
and so so that's where most of I think all of my people who work here have went to some Samtech program.
Yeah, a lot of people we've talked to, like Calvo and all them, they all know people from Samtech.
Yeah, so great program. So that was cool. So just different things I was
How
doing.
long did you work there?
Well, no, I didn't work there like full time. I just did it like I did that program. So I guess it's more like I think I was technically W-2, but it was more like a contract.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I still continued like to have a relationship with them.
Okay.
That's where I was circling back into this because when I lost my dyno, Samtech was like, "Hey, you can use our dyno and help us with some tuning classes and stuff."
Yeah.
So I did that until I got my new dyno because Mustang dyno had to make me a new dyno, and so that was a reason why I was going to mention it because I had already done some stuff with them in the past.
Right.
And so they still come here. They'll bring cars out here for all-wheel drive stuff, and so I do a few little things with them here and there. So another tuning school thing I was doing, and then later on, keep fast forwarding here a little bit. Then I ended up starting to do some contract work for tuner school. So because I was doing some Hellcat work for them when they had just released the 4.5 Whipple for the Hellcat, and so I was out there working on some stuff and helping them out with that. And then they're like, "Hey, do you want to help us with our tuning school?" I'm like, "Okay," because their instructor had just left, and so I ended up helping them out for a while. But I was like going there in the mornings from 7 to like noon or 1:30 or whatever, and I get here. Well, and Katie at the time, and I was working forever, and like, yeah, it just became too much, and I was like, man, I can't do this anymore. And I started helping HP tuners because they were sending me overseas to do our first class with HP tuners overseas.
Where at?
I was in Dubai.
Nice.
So they've got the custom show Emirates. That's like their SEMA. So we did a class before that, leading up to it.
That's
cool.
Sick.
Yeah,
That'd
so,
be fun to do.
Yeah, so that's why I was doing some class stuff with them too, and so so every year, probably 3 or 4 times a year, I was doing overseas classes for HP tuners too, teaching for them.
Damn.
So that was pretty cool, and that also again just expanded my knowledge, or not my knowledge too, of course.
Horizon.
Yeah, because then I know all these people in Dubai. One year I went to Austria, then I went to Germany, then I went to the UK, and then I went to Amsterdam, and then I went to Dubai, Abu Dhabi, which is like right next to each other. They're all UAE. And then where else did I go? That's it, I think. I went to Dubai a few times after that.
So you like the teaching part?
I do, but like it gets I don't know. Sometimes you kind of gotta get to take a break from it.
Yeah.
You know, it's good to do here and there, like kind of like.
I've always thought it was a real interesting thing. I just haven't gotten into it.
Yeah.
Nor do I want to do my own tuning school. I'd just rather help somebody else.
Yes.
I don't have any more time to put on my plate for that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
I always thought that'd be kind of interesting to kind of help people and then have like more of a in the field perspective.
Yeah.
Where it seems like most people that teach don't have the ability to be out there in the field as much.
Yeah.
Where, you know, I felt like that's kind of something different that we can do.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
you out there teaching, that kind of puts you in the field too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I definitely learn a lot of different things from, like, you learn as much from your students as they learn from you.
Yeah.
Because people have different perspectives on things. And some of these guys have been tuning a long time. But they just want to learn this specific platform.
Yeah.
And so they're like, oh, I do it like this on this. I'm like, oh, I never thought about doing it like that. But yeah, that works.
Right.
You know, so it's just cool stuff you pick up along the way. So that's been cool, rewarding in that sense. And then, yeah, so fast forward to like 2019 or so, late 2018, early 2019, I knew the C8 was on the horizon, right? I knew the C7
Because
was.
your boy at GM warned you.
I run its course, and I was like, man, because I really want to do a lot of stuff with the C7.
Yeah, it's a
and I
play.
had a C7 Z06. I got rid of the CTSV, got a C7 Z06. I raced the crap out of that thing, put coilovers on it, wheels, tires, blah, 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 blah. And that car, I eventually sold to a customer of mine, great friend of mine, Johnny. But yeah, so I want to do the C8. And so I put a deposit down really early on before anybody officially said it was out or coming out. And then they had the reveal thing. And I was like, yep, that's going to be my car. This is my time. This is the catalyst for my movement.
You looked at that thing and was like, that's what I want.
Yeah. And yeah, so I have 2 C8s right now. So like, you know,
When I first saw it, I'm like, man, I don't know. Then the Z06 come out and I was like, all right.
yeah.
And the ZR1, and I'm like, there we go. Now we're talking.
Blew it out the water.
Yeah. So, you know, and then COVID was going on and all that. And it took me forever to get my car, you know, and the one I originally ordered got delayed because I didn't want like a 3LT. I wanted just a 1LT. I wanted bare bones because I was going to race the crap out of it, gut it, blah, 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 which I do have a gutted C8 with the cage and everything in it right now that I'm working on. Yeah, so
For road course.
for road course stuff, yeah. And actually, I bought before I even had the car, I bought a flat plane crank from Winberg. I had Winberg make the crank, and then yeah, and I bought the rods, and yeah, so it's that. Then a whole bunch of other stuff has happened since then. But that engine's about to be ready, but it's going in my customer's car because I ended up selling the setup to a customer of mine. Oh, but yeah.
So you were going to put the Z06 engine in it, or?
No. This
You
is
were
the
gonna
LT2.
flat plane the LT2.
It is. It's at LME right now.
So why? There's more to this.
There's a lot more to this, yeah. But yeah, so
We're listening.
but anyways, so that was 2020. So the original car I ordered, I didn't get. So I found another car, and I was able to get it MSRP, which was amazing. I bought it from the Chevy dude.
Yeah, I know.
yeah,
Well,
he
I don't know him, but I know
Got a
him.
YouTube channel. But anyways, but yeah, so that's when he was still working at the GM dealership.
Yeah.
So I bought it from him, and then yeah, so I announced. I told everybody right there, I'm going to do a flat plane crank engine in this car.
So my only reason I kind of was saying, so we run into factory limiters, right? 81, 92 on all the other ones. Is the C8 not limited to that? Because if you
far
go
as, like-
flat plane crank, wouldn't you have to rev beyond that? This guy here. Can you get past that on a Gen 5 or Gen 4?
Well, as far as I mean,
You can't rev past 81, 92.
No, yeah. So I mean, I think the max RPM you could do on a Gen 5 is like 8,000 or something.
81, 92.
Like that. Yeah.
I know. I've been there.
Yeah. So
And if you go over it, it just shuts the car off.
yeah.
So you can get past that.
Well, not using a factory ECM.
Okay. Here we go.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this guy got the key. I need that.
No.
Like, turn this off. Tell me.
So
Pay
so
for that, buddy.
so a lot of stuff, but with my C8 though, I had big plans for it. Things have kind of changed a little bit, and I decided, well, my customer who's got the engine now that I've originally started, he's taking it over, and it's gonna be awesome. We're putting in his car. He's doing road racing with it too. I got a little bit different plans for my C8 at this point.
So I'm not ready to let you go on this one. So if you're gonna do the flat plane crank in the LT2,
yes,
why not have the benefit of the cams and all the architecture of the Z06 engine?
well,
if it's
the
going to
Z06
be
didn't
standalone
exist
anyways?
at that time,
But it does now.
right?
And so
But I like the push rod
So
engine.
you knew that they were going flat plane before they went flat plane.
I mean, I had a pretty good idea.
This guy, I need his connection.
It's just you read between the lines a little bit,
I hear what you're saying.
But yeah, so
Just a text.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He read between the lines of the text, maybe.
yeah, no, but
That's
yeah.
awesome. That's
So,
awesome.
but even if I pretty much had a good idea I was going to do overhead cam because why wouldn't it be? But and everybody thinks I'm crazy.
Well, because GM hasn't done that since the 90s.
Right.
But
Yeah, for the the original LT4.
ZR1, yeah.
Either way, I still wanted that push rod V8 sound, the choppity chop, but I wanted flat plane and I wanted twin turbos. And not, you know what? It may not, people say, oh,
I was going to say, I don't think it's going to sound like that, though.
we're about to find out.
It's going to be like a deeper flat plane, maybe?
Let's find out. It's going to be interesting.
It's probably going to sound pretty wicked.
Yeah.
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 So,
Two worlds combined.
yeah, that's what I mean. And people are like, well, why you do that? Like, you could do just as much with a cross plane. I'm like, well, because it's different and I like to do stuff because, and say I did it. And also, I want to spend a lot of RPM. I don't want to have to shift as much.
Back to the DSMs. He hates money.
Yeah. Just throw it at all.
That's what I tell people. They're like, I want something unique. I'm like, right there, you just said you wanted to pay 5 times what it cost.
Yeah. So, but I'm really excited about the
It's
project.
going to sound awesome.
Yeah. So, we're getting very close to running it on the engine dyno. So I'm pretty excited about that because
Are you going to post it?
Oh yeah.
And if you're going to post it, where are you posting it?
Instagram, my Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah.
So LME's doing the build. LME's doing the build.
Yeah. Yep. So right now, also that's allowed me to develop our own dry sump system. That's another thing we're coming out with. I got all kinds of stuff we're coming
Single
out with.
stage, 5 stage, what is it?
It says Pearson up to 6 stage. If you can do it, you can do it. So yeah, depends. So one of them we're using for scavenging for the turbos, and then we're pulling obviously from all the typical places you pull from. But yeah, so it's 6 stage dry sump, Peterson pump, and then we made our own oil pan, and then we're making the mounts for the pump, and then we're working with Peterson on some of the stuff. And what else did we do? Oh, we had to do like the block offs for the factory oil pump and all that stuff, and making those provisions for that.
Yeah.
And so we are going to have the only legit dry sump on an LT2.
Damn.
And we're going to spend 9,000 RPMs with it. And we can use that dry sump on a cross plane engine too. So if
Are
anybody,
they not dry sump already?
they are, but
Right.
Half dry sump?
There's a reason I asked.
yeah. So it's a better dry sump than the C7 because it's 3 stage. So it's got two stage on the oil pump. It's got a 3rd stage. It pulls from the valley.
Right.
Right. And so, which is better than anything else they've had. However, it wouldn't support 9,000 RPM. Right. Now, if you
you'd
look
have
at
a lot of puddling.
now you have, the Z06 and the ZR1 have, I think the ZR1's 6 stage, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And the
Well, when
Z06
they did that whole teaser, they were like,
Yeah.
you didn't notice this extra that they just put a block off plate in the back section. I'm like, how would we know that? We can't afford the car.
Well, when I took my whole car apart, like I literally the whole car is just a shell, right? You could see the provisions for the front motor, even then on my car. Like it says something about electric motor or something there. I can't remember what the goose egg was, but yeah. So we knew there was gonna be motors in the front.
When they did that tank on the Z06 that had that odd curve, and they talked about that in that teaser too. But I was like, everybody had to have looked at that and been like, what the hell is that for?
Yeah.
Why would they do that normally?
Yeah.
But it was for the turbo and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was like, but the flat plane, that was my biggest thing I wanted to do, right? And then that's why I pulled the transmission apart. I took every valve body out of it, and I worked with different companies and sent my harness off, sent my modules off to try to develop a control strategy for the transmission. because
You
obviously,
developed a module for the trans already, though, right?
so yeah, that's our clutch pressure controller.
Okay.
So what that allows it to do is adds 10% additional clamping force. So basically, we're going in line to the even and the odd clutch pressure sensors, and we're modifying that signal that's going to the TCM, that's inputted to the TCM. The TCM says, oh, well, you have 10% less pressure than what we want. Then we're taking advantage of the closed loop control there. If you tell it like anything over 10, 11%, it just freaks out.
Yeah.
So it says, oh, clutch pressure discharge code, idle creep temporarily disabled,
But then that's a module you currently sell.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the clutch pressure control, another one of our products that I've come out with for the C8. There's
It's a lot of different things. The Pro Charger thing. The
Yeah.
inlet for the Pro Charger.
the Pro Charger upgrade kit that we offer. So basically,
Something they all need.
yeah. So the Pro Charger out of the box is a draw through setup, meaning that mass airflow sensor is right after the manifold, the filter before the blower. Right, it's not in the charge pipe, so it's draw through pre blower. And the reason that they had done that, I mean, a Pro Charger may not officially say this, but as far as I can tell, because if you put that mass airflow sensor in the charge pipe, this is before we had tuning, this is before we had HP tuners. If you put that mass airflow sensor in the charge pipe, it changes the mass airflow frequency to a point where it throws a P0101 code, which is a mass airflow
shuts
circuit
mass
range
airflow off.
performance. Right. So then that puts it into essentially their speed density or neural network or some kind of a default mode. It's not officially speed density because the car runs on neural network and mass airflow, right? But it's like a combination thereof or some kind of it'd be in the source code that would tell you exactly what it's doing, right? Which we don't have access to, of course.
Yeah,
But
how come we have access to A2Ls for German cars, but we don't have them for...
well, yeah, the source code is even more. Even like A2L is one thing, but the source code is what tells it to do it. And that's the interaction between everything. That's the firmware.
But if you have an A2L,
It helps. Yeah.
He does.
No, it's right here.
Right?
Yeah. Or Demos or whatever they call them in
Demos.
Demos. Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, so that's before we had tuning. What was I talking about?
You're talking about the Pro Charger.
Yeah. The
Oh,
And
yeah,
why you have to move the mass air.
Yeah. So anyway, so when they put the mass airflow sensor in the draw through, that mass airflow frequency was still around 4,000 hertz. But you put it in the charge pipe, it'd be like 2,800 to 3,000 hertz. So it said the ECM's like, well, what the heck's going on here? So they had to put it there. They didn't tell me this, but this is more or less what I've because I was working with them a little bit because they were testing my Delta control module, which is what we now use on our Z06 twin turbo kit that we offer as well. Right. So which we were using the DCM in its infancy stages on the C8 Stingray before we had HP tuners on it. So so we're using the DCM and anyway, so because we had the ability to adjust the mass airflow frequency that's outputted to the ECM, we could move the MAF to the charge pipe, right?
Do you have full ability to adjust that?
Yeah. So with the DCM, you're not changing what airflow value it reads. You're not changing the actual calibration. Right at 3,000 hertz, it's 5 pounds per minute. Now I can't go to 3,000 hertz to say it's 7 pounds per minute, but I can tell it it's at 4,000 hertz, and I know what pounds per minute it's there. So you're changing the frequency that's outputted to the ECM.
Right. That's what they used to do, like Granatelli and some of those guys did on some of the mass airs to add more fuel.
It's a lot more complex than that.
Obviously.
It's a lot harder to get there.
Right.
Right.
Well, because everything's CAN bus too now.
Yeah. Well,
Everything's linked.
so the mass
Everything's
airflow is still like it's still its own circuit.
But doesn't it read through CAN bus? Not CAN bus. What is it?
What's out now? It's now it's all integrated into the LIN. Well, it's not LIN actually. So it's a GM specific protocol. It's their own protocol.
That's what I was getting at though.
Yeah, the Z06 mass airflow, IAT, Barrow.
Well, it's not mass air. It's multifunction sensor.
Yeah.
I tried looking up mass airflow on GM. It doesn't work.
But the Z06 is a 3-wire MAF, but the C8 still had the Stingray still had a 4-wire MAF. So the 4th wire was just mass airflow frequency.
Okay.
So it's still a value.
So you could pull it and send it.
We can modify that physically, right? We'll say, for lack of a better way to explain it quickly, we can modify that physically. And because it's like a dual pulse train, blah, 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 and that goes beyond me. I'm not an electrical engineer. I have forays into it and I kind of understand it, but I still have people that I collaborate with, right? Because you can't win it alone. It takes a village,
Those that work together win together.
Yeah. So anyways, but yeah, so we got partners like Engineering that I work with. This guy's amazing. Max, he's awesome. He helps me out a lot because I'll plug him because he's an amazing dude.
Yeah.
And then now we've worked with my buddy Weston, who I met at HP Tuners, who owns Dauntless Devices. He's helped me a lot with the Z06 stuff. But yeah, so and I just want to mention them because I wouldn't be where I'm at now without them.
Is he a fan of Divergent?
Divergent?
It's a movie.
Oh.
Where they have the Dauntless. It's one of the factions.
Oh, probably.
They're the crazy people.
Yeah. I don't know where he got the name from.
Now we need to ask. Tell us.
Weston, wherever you're
Weston,
at,
let us know.
contact Justin and tell him, please.
JustinWhiteTuned on Instagram.
Just watch that movie. It was great.
So yeah.
just
So anyways, but so we were able to move the MAF into the charge pipe because we can modify that mass airflow frequency value, and also we modify the IET to adjust the timing and other things of that nature. But the IET is on the LIN bus, so we do break out the LIN bus as well. The LIN bus, because you put the MAF in the charge pipe, at that point your mass airflow has the baro in it, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say you have to break that out
baro
too.
is on the LIN bus. The baro, humidity, IT1, IT2 is all transmitted on the LIN bus, right? So we had to break the LIN bus out using a sensor tap from Dash Logic. And so we run a separate baro sensor, just like they did on the C7s, like DSX sells their kit. And so it breaks out the baro, and so allows that baro to read correctly, right? So you don't get whacked off,
Right.
Readings from airflow and in IE torque and blah, 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 right? So we try to keep the car as happy as possible. So we're breaking out the baro sensor that way. And they weren't doing that as well. So that's another reason why they had the MAF. They didn't tell me this again, but that's why they had the MAF in the draw through scenario. And they
But it
didn't
makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you were having to make everything happy.
And you're at 6 pounds of boost. Like, it's not, a blow off valve is still ideal regardless. You don't want compressor surge, but it's probably not enough compressor surge to create a problem.
It still wasn't ideal.
It isn't ideal.
And it doesn't go whoosh.
Yeah, right. We want the whoosh.
Yeah. Because his kit puts a blow off valve there too.
Yeah. So that's, so you got the blow off valve, then you got the MAF. And to make that happy, oh my gosh.
I was going to say,
reversion,
how close is that?
well, yeah, they're super close. And so we had to do straighteners. Like, if you look at the intake on a C8, they have air straighteners.
Yeah, I saw the two,
to left
the
and
two
right.
straight.
Yeah, exactly. On the MAF. And so we did a similar concept in there, and that helped a lot. But we also had to get the piping just right. We had like 20 revisions of that charge pipe to make it where it actually read correctly, where we could tune it properly as much as we could with Delta Control Module. So yeah, so that's what we did on the ProCharger C8 stuff. So then we sold, quite a few ProCharger kits like that. And then, I was tuning a lot of C8s with the Delta Control Module. I sold probably 50 DCMs. That's another product that we offer for the C8. Now, Granted, now we're using HP tuners for most of it, but the DCM has come back to life with the Z06. It now has purpose again. We've repurposed it a little bit. We've changed some things because there's dual mass airflow sensors, and because it's a 3-wire MAF instead of 4-wire MAF, and because that's its own GM protocol. They've got the the patent on that protocol, and so we had to reverse engineer that protocol and figure out what was there and how to send external sensors into it and tell it what we wanted to do.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Reverse engineer it.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Yeah. But But so I guess on the C8 and the HP tuner tuning, how they had like limited people that were allowed to do it. Thankfully, I was in there too.
Yeah.
But do you feel? I know we know the trans tuning's not there, and it's probably not going to be there for a while. But
Oh man, here
unless
we go.
your guy knows, I'm not going into that. But the like the calibration of the engine itself, do you feel like it's complete enough?
Yeah.
Can you rescale that MAF to make it work
So
normally?
that's not a HP tuners problem. That's a
No, I
GM.
know that's an
Yeah.
operating system issue.
Yeah. So the
But
mass
with HP
airflow.
tuners, can you
Sorry.
alter that?
Yeah, we can alter the MAF. It's just there's a mass airflow limit, right? There, you can only basically tell if the C8, if you're logging it and it sees over 67 pounds per minute of airflow or 68 pounds per minute of airflow, which equals out to whatever grams per second. Other people use grams per second. I use pounds per minute because that's what I've always used.
Or some other term that we've never heard of?
Yeah. We were trying to do some different operating system stuff to try to see if we could work around that, because if you tune a Blackwing, it sees 83 pounds per minute of airflow.
I was going to say the Blackwing you have no issue with.
However, no, but you still can't put a physical number greater than 68 pounds per minute in that MAF table. Right. But that is not actual airflow. It's just mass. And then there's some other multipliers in the background that generate the actual airflow that it's essentially calculating.
Right.
Right. So you still can tune it the same way. Like you increase that number 10%, it's going to increase the mass airflow 10%, but it's off. Like if you look at the numbers at low speeds, like 3,000 to 5.
Yeah, the grams per cylinder is going to be off.
Yeah. Well, the number you would like that pound per minute number that it's labeled pounds per minute, but it's really not pounds per minute.
Right.
Like the number in here is like 0.8, but if you actually log it, it's like 2. But as you get closer and closer to wide open throttle, it's closer and closer and closer. That number is closer to reality. Right. So but yeah, so now, there's some other, things out there. Like Dave came out with, DSX came out with like the Mathematic. I haven't tested it yet. And so it's supposed to allow you to actually modify that airflow value where it sees legit airflow numbers. So that's kind of a cool product. Dave does some cool stuff.
Yeah.
So, that I haven't tested it yet, but I haven't necessarily needed to because the way that I do it anyways, we tune the car up to like 68 pounds per minute, 65 pounds per minute. And then we have, our port injection that we run beyond that,
You have your own port injection, or you use?
So I use the split second module like as a base point, and then I wire it in the way that I want to do it. And then we use Tuner Pro RT. And look, it's not my standing on the C8 stuff. Like you got other companies using like Fuel Tech, which is a badass tool. Don't get me wrong, and Motec.
Which they told me they have a harness and they run the trans by themselves. But when I asked them to buy it, they don't have any and they don't know when they're going to have one. So have you seen that?
Yeah, I haven't seen. I know that now his name is, I'm drawing a blank. The owner of Fuel Tech, Anderson.
Yeah.
Anderson Dick. Really cool guy too. Anderson, I haven't seen that, but I know that they were messing with that a lot. But at that time, we didn't have HP tuners as well, right?
They blue-balled me, so it kind of got me up. I was like, why would you tell me this?
Yeah.
And then tell me you can't get it.
So more or less though, like from what I gather, what's going on there is you're putting the car in manual mode, and then you're controlling it, telling it when to shift, like basically using Fuel Tech. So it outputs a signal as
Which would be great if it actually would shift.
As if you hit the paddle, right? So it sends a 0 to 5 volt signal, 5 volt input to the TCM, and it shifts. But it's based off how you modify that table in Fuel Tech software, right? And so you're putting the car in manual mode, and then it's shifting automatically with Fuel Tech. But he is going and modifying the and I don't know all the intricacies. It may be more. This is just what I've gathered from the information I have available to me. And he's going in, and yeah, he's a super smart guy. They've got a lot of cool stuff going on. And then they're going in and they are modifying the line pressure, similar to kind of how we are, but they're going deeper than that with our clutch pressure controller. But with me though, with having HP tuners, ability to modify the torque model, as you know, tuning transmissions, that's the most critical key to everything. If the torque model is not accurate, then everything else is not going to be accurate.
Right.
So even though my cars aren't seeing, 90 pounds per minute of airflow, they're still seeing 1,200 pound-foot of torque on my alpha packages. So they calculate 1,200 pound-foot of torque up to that. Now, sometimes they get angry. You got to do a little tweaks in here and there, or like adjust.
Well, you've done one that made more than that, didn't you?
Well, I mean, as far as what the ECM is seeing.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the biggest thing is being able to adjust the torque model appropriately and make the car happy about it. Because a lot of times they see that torque, the 1960, 1961 code, people think that the car is slipping. It's not slipping. The transmission's saying, nope.
We don't need
Moss.
this much torque.
Yeah, it's just letting go. It's putting it in
No
neutral
Moss.
or putting it into the next gear, right? So that's what's happening there. So then because of that, I don't know how many people have bought clutches for their cars. They didn't necessarily need better clutches.
I get it all the time. I get people that are like, oh, I need a transmission. And I'm like, let's check the tune. Torque model, stock.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you make 1,100. It thinks you make 4.
Yeah.
Fix
Yeah.
it,
So
boom, trans shifts.
right. Yeah. So that's the huge thing. Like you can, if you adjust, like it's wow. Oh my gosh, it's actually shifting, right? Just by adjusting the torque model, So you can do a lot
Properly.
Yeah. Right.
Because a lot of people try to fake the torque model, and that sends you a whole nother slew of codes.
Yeah. There's obviously it's a whole,
Shebang.
culmination of everything. But so that's the biggest thing with the C8s. Our clutch pressure controller adjusting torque model appropriately, and then it's seeing requested torque versus actual torque and can't remember the peak torque, excuse me. And all those three, looking at that and those jiving within a certain percentage, usually it's pretty happy, right?
Right.
And so I'm just using my knowledge that I've learned from C7s and the Gen 5 platform, and I'm just applying that in C8. But there are other, a lot of our other competitors are newer to the Gen 5 GM platform. Now it's Gen 5 Plus technically, right? And so it's just, that's been something that is just not as well known. And so, you know, so it's just been the industry as a whole. What I mean by that, not that there's like I call them my competitors, but we all talk to each other, and you know, we help
The ones
each other.
that are actually doing good things talk to each other.
Yeah. So I mean, but I just didn't want you to get the wrong idea of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
No, I follow 100%.
So yeah, and
I've
so it's
followed
just,
along for a while.
the industry as a whole, though, like for the C8 industry, I mean, has been developing because the people are getting better with the tuning, right? They're still learning the ropes of the Gen 5 stuff. And I think that's helped me go forward, you know, as fast as possible because I already had a knowledge in that, right? So it helped, right? Not that I'm, you know, King Dingling or whatever, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm going to people get the wrong idea. Like,
But there's not that many C8 builders, right? I mean, you've got CCO, you have
LMR, you have obviously ETS. They offer like kits to a lot of people. You know, you got Boost District and
ETS the one that kind of has the record with one?
So, yeah, they do have the current record. Yeah,
Yeah, I saw their 6130 time and I was like, would you put a manual trans in it or? But then you see the shift in it.
yeah.
So it went, I don't remember what it ran, but it was really fast, even with the messed up shift.
Yeah.
on the Z06. Was it on Z06?
Stingray. Yeah.
Stingray.
Yeah. I think it ran like a 870 or something like that.
No, 6130. It was like,
Oh yeah. No, I mean 870 quarter mile.
sorry. I'm relating to the roll race guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was 8 1/4. It was like 3 something.
So on the last car that I just did, we did like now it was like almost 3,000 foot DA out here. I ran like a 5-second, 502 or 507, somewhere between there.
Yeah, I saw the video
On the
other day.
6130.
Yep.
On the red car. Now that thing, you know, I could have pushed it harder, but I mean, it's an easy mid 4-second car and good DA, you know, 60 to 130. I mean,
Right.
yeah. So, but I was really happy with that car, and that was a 416. That was on that particular 5-second one. That was on profile 3 on our boost control. So that was like 18 pounds of boost. So I mean, it wasn't on full kill on that.
I think when they get the trans stuff really figured out, I think
Gear
that
kills it.
I don't know, man. They said that on the C7 and I figured a way around it.
Yeah.
My C7 has no issue in 5th gear.
Yeah.
It clicks and keeps going, clicks and keeps going.
Well, I just mean like the
Ratio.
Yeah, the ratio.
Right.
Yeah.
RPM fixes everything.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I think that platform is going to be
Yeah.
really hard to compete with once we have the trans and we have everything kind of all in one package.
I've got some stuff cooking for it too.
Yeah.
So it's going to be pretty cool.
I think it's going to be real hard to contend with. I think a lot of people sleep on that chassis, not realizing the amount of technology that's behind that thing.
Oh, well,
A lot of people sleep on C7s, and then you throw something simple together and beat them all, and they're like, what the hell happened?
once we release the big release, I'm not going to mention, I'm just doing little teasers out there, but
Blue Ballus, thanks.
yeah.
Thanks.
Once we have our big release, it's going to be cool. Like that's going to put the whole industry on notice.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So
What?
in a good way, like it's people are like, holy crap, you know, and people that know about it, but like, I just don't want to,
We're not people.
no, what? I just don't know when I want to release it exactly because I don't want to say anything too soon. And then, you know, I just want to be sure that it's as polished as possible.
Yep.
You know, because I don't want people like, oh, well, I want to buy this. I want to buy. No, like, you know
Make
what I
sure
mean?
it's ready. That's the best way to be. Make sure it's ready.
So, and I'm investing a lot of my own time and money and dollars into it.
Really?
Yeah, like a lot. So, and
So
when
just cue into his pages and watch.
yeah.
Because you post about all kind of stuff. I watch it.
Yeah.
So
And just like, but if people kind of see what I'm doing, they kind of, you can read between the lines of what I'm doing and you understand what I'm going to do.
I'm a big proponent of don't put anything in the universe until it happens.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, it's happening, but it's not
till it happens.
Not
yeah,
the-
fully, you know,
Yeah.
like how I want it,
yeah.
you know, so it's just, but it's going to be cool. And I got a lot of other cool stuff coming down the pipe, but yeah. So like in our twin turbo Z06 kit, like, so yeah. So we were talking about C8, we were talking about the Pro Charger, and we've just been, and also with my car, we developed some other, like front lower control arms. So we can run 11-inch wide tires in the front or wheels in the front, excuse me. And so that allows us to run up to a 315 tire in the front. We can run a 335 in the rear.
And you do a 15-inch kit?
And we also offer a 15-inch conversion as well.
Axles, the whole deal?
Yeah. So, well, the axles we'll get from 1320 or G-Force. But we do the spindles, we do the upper control arm, we do the bushings, we do all that stuff. And then we buy the brakes from Willwood, and they're really nice. They're a really nice kit. You can see it on our website. And yes, it's expensive. And
it's a C8. Yeah.
Everything on
people,
C8
people don't understand that. This is not a cheap hobby.
Well, they're like, man, a $6,000 15-inch conversion. Like, what? And I'm like,
that's not expensive.
I mean, because a lot of the other 15-inch conversions are like $2,000.
Yeah, but their cars are like 40.
Yeah. So yeah, and well,
I'm being honest from a guy that has one.
The cool thing about our 15-inch conversion too is it uses the factory e-brake, and so we have no e-brake codes or anything like that. And
that's things that people don't understand is that you can't just get rid of that.
Yeah,
we'll just take ours off.
Yeah. So yeah, with the C8, you'll have codes for days. The car will be angry.
Street car.
Bro, in Mississippi, they don't even use back brakes. All that shit does slow you down.
But yeah, so the 15-inch conversion has been really cool. But yeah, so it's full billet, machined, and we really, as I said, with the upper control arms, everything. It's a very comprehensive kit. Yeah, and so then I mean, what else do we do?
Twin turbo kits.
Oh, of course, yeah.
If you can go more in depth on that, like how.
I would love
the process.
So with our twin turbo kit, we put so much time and energy just to being able to make it repeatable. One, and two, our biggest crown jewel, like the thing that we were very proud of, is the X pipe, which is right here, stack of them right here behind me. And those things, you look at the welds on them. We back purge everything. You can see all of our back purging equipment right here, sitting there behind you.
Furl and the plugs.
And that's a sign of we.
When I saw that, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't back purge and it corrodes on the inside, and they sell it because it looks pretty on the outside, and then it cracks later on down the road.
Yeah, I have lifetime warranty on all my fabricated components.
Lifetime.
You break it. If the whole obviously, if you run over a truck, that's
they're gonna call you O'Reilly's or Advance or something.
Yeah, no. If it cracks,
warranty.
No questions asked.
Sheesh.
Yeah, I mean that was a thing back in the day with I had a Honda and it had a Love Fab manifold. And it had a crack in it.
Skunk?
No, Love Fab. And I found it. And it was a guy had it at his house. And he's like, man, you can have it. It's cracked. And I was like, wait, they have a lifetime warranty on that. So in 15 years, remember that.
Yeah, if it cracks.
Because I sent it to him and they sent me a new one.
If I'm still around, yeah. I mean, I'm sure I hope will be. But I'm saying like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, we know where you live now.
Yeah. So, So
but
I mean,
that's a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people don't stand behind their stuff. It's with the tuning thing.
I'm not saying like the whole car is supported.
No. The welding, the craftsmanship,
the
craftsmanship,
right?
But
the components that we make here,
right,
that we weld here,
which shows that you take pride in what you do. That's what I'm saying.
We also sell a 4-year. It's part of the kit. I just announced this actually on my Instagram.
I saw it. I was waiting for that.
The 4-year, 75,000 mile bumper to bumper warranty with all of our packages on the C8.
And that's the Alpha.
The Bravo Light, the Bravo.
Beta?
Sorry.
You have an Alpha and a Beta?
No. So yeah, the Alpha is the highest one. Well, now we got the Alpha 416.
You didn't name a package Beta, did you?
No. Oh. So the Alpha. That's after my time in the Army.
Oh.
So it's a phonetic alphabet. Yeah. So Alpha, Bravo, Charlie.
Right.
So we have Charlie packages too, but we got our.
What are these packages?
So yeah, so the Bravo Light, and then I'm talking Stingray right now.
Right.
We have the Z06 kit too. So the Bravo Light adds about 170 horsepower, 180, somewhere around there.
Wheel or crank?
At the wheel.
Okay.
Yeah. So with 6 pounds of boost, that's our starting point, and that, like I said,
in a nutshell, what does that come with?
So not only does it come with a turbo kit, X pipe is standard, intercooler standard, coating on the hot side standard, clutch pressure controller standard, MPVI3 standard, catch can standard, tuning standard. All that comes with the kit. So
what kind of coating?
It's ceramic coated.
Okay.
Yeah, so we
not that
ceramic
armadillo stuff.
No, we ceramic coat all the hot side going up, and including the turbine housings themselves. And so that's all standard. That's all stuff that you typically add on other kits. And
right.
We include all that standard with our kits. We truly believe we have the most comprehensive package out there. And I don't, and it is what it is for the price because you're buying a lot of stuff. So installed and tuned on the Bravo Light is about $32K, give or take.
Turbo's fueling the whole deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good price. We got to think the Pro Charger kit alone, just the parts is 20 grand.
Yeah, like
For
yeah,
the C8?
yeah, it's like a hair under, but yeah,
It's
like
20 grand.
well, yeah, if you buy the extra little trinkets.
You need.
Yeah.
It's 20 grand.
Yeah, so like that's the thing, and with the C8 stuff, you know,
And what does that make?
so on my dyno, about 570 on a dyno jet, about 630. 620, 630.
Because remember, they make 400 stock.
390 stock on my dyno.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. And you just want to be sure we're being clear. So like, yeah, so on a dyno jet, you're like 430 or something, 435, like I mentioned earlier. So, yeah. So, and that now includes the 40 or 75,000 mile warranty on it.
What how does the warranty work? So what if they blow it up?
It's covered.
Like the engine.
Yeah. If your radio malfunctions, like electrical components are covered.
Huh?
Yeah. Suspension. It's like your 3 or 36 that you get from GM, but better. So we have a company we work with that underwrites with us on it. And so like you like
That's
go to
insane.
like you go to a dealership and you buy an extended warranty, it's like that, but for a modified car.
I might buy a
okay.
C8.
So when you get a package from us now, you get a little binder thing, not binder, but a warranty document that you put with your, I guess it is a binder more or less.
Yeah.
Not like a physical binder, but you know what I mean? Yeah. And so that you put it in your glove box, keep it with you. You go anywhere, it's $100 deductible. It's also transferable, $75 transferable fee if you sell the car and it's still under the warranty.
Now, does it need to come back here for that?
No, anywhere you want to go. That, as long as they're willing to work with the warranty.
Car has to
company.
be built here?
No, it can be a mail out package to another company.
The reason I'm asking is because I do have a C8, dickhead.
You don't think they're Corvettes, you said?
What?
You said C8.
Oh, it's absolutely not a Corvette, but that's okay. It's its own badassness. We have one in Puerto Rico. Since he's going to watch this, he can buy that package or your other package, and we can install it, and you would cover that.
Yeah.
With your tune?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
it's kind of obviously part of the ticket.
Yeah.
yeah. So basically, as long as it's not okay. So the only stipulations with the
Listen,
warranty.
Joel, listen very good because you're on turbo.
Yeah. The only stipulations with the warranty is if it's depends on 2020 or newer. So obviously C8 with this company in general, 2020 or newer vehicle, you have to put 1,000 miles or 30 days on it on the vehicle after the installation's been done to make sure there's no installation errors or whatever.
Right.
Right. Now,
Now, are you going to affiliate with certain shops? The reason I'm asking, and do you support Puerto Rico?
I think I've got. I haven't. It's been a while since I've tuned that
So
car.
I've got a shop that I deal with directly. They do all of our C7s, and his work is impeccable. It's Manos Rapidos, Fast Hands. It's Alexander. He's got the fastest C7 ZR1 on the island, but he wants to get into C8s really bad, and I'm like, I'm kind of busy, man. But they have a C8 there, and every C8s are cockroaches on the island too.
Yeah.
But that'd be really cool if you work directly with him.
Yeah,
and
no,
he can sell your package.
I'm building a dealer. I have a dealer program already established, right? And so I've got different dealers I work with, and we do mail outs to various companies.
Dealers that are interested, how do they link with you?
Basically, just contact us here at the shop.
Super important.
Sorry.
Super important. They might contact you tomorrow.
That's what I'm saying. I can have this guy contact you because we want to get into them, but as I've told you, I've told you on the phone, it's just not something I have the time to delve into yet. But if you have a package that they can ship out that comes with the tuning, comes with the whole deal.
Yeah, that's exactly what. Yeah,
people want it really bad.
So
I can't support it right now.
Yeah, so we have our Bravo Light mail out. We have our Bravo mail out. We have the Bravo Plus mail out. We basically can mail out any of our packages, right?
What's the highest?
The Alpha, and now we have the Alpha 416 is what I'm calling it.
We don't have an Alpha Omega? No. Isn't that a thing?
Sure.
That's next.
This is military.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right.
So because when you're always like, I didn't want to do like a PPT 1000, a PPT 700. I want to do something a little different, So, and because also that just implies like it's got to make exactly this. But what I do is basically, generally speaking, if you look at my other Bravo packages, because I have Bravo packages for the Hellcat as well, and generally the Bravo package picks up about 200 horsepower or more. And so the Bravo Light I made for the C8 because guys didn't necessarily need clutches. They didn't need axles necessarily. They didn't need somebody like the boost controller or direct port methanol, or if you want to do now heads cam with E85 with aux pump, they didn't necessarily want to do that. So I did the Bravo Light to have a less expensive option with, everything you need, nothing you don't, less frills, and, the Bravo. And
Well,
then,
did you say less frills, but it still comes with everything.
yeah. I mean, but it doesn't, It's because we originally had the Bravo and it's like axles, clutches, direct port meth, because we were doing meth because we couldn't put a cam or whatever in it.
Right.
So we did that for fueling and it works great and I still use it. And we couldn't do E85 either. So that's why that was the next best solution.
But we can do 85 now?
No, yeah, we can now. I'm saying this is before we had HP tuners.
Right.
But I developed that with that in mind.
So the first package is Alpha or Bravo Light.
Then Bravo.
Then Bravo. And what does that gain?
Bravo, you pick up to 300 horsepower with the Profile 2.
Is this still stock engine?
Still stock engine.
Okay. So
That's the most.
Is that heads cam?
Nope. Yeah. So the Bravo, at its base, that standard package is direct port methanol, boost controller, which is boost by gear. That boost controller also controls methanol. It's Cortex. And then axles, clutches, obviously our our turbo kit, clutch pressure controller, and tuning, MPVI 3, and the spark plugs and all that.
What turbos are these?
Precision 62, 66 next gens.
Oh, okay.
Those are still Gen 2s.
No, that's not a next gen.
Yeah, so those are Gen 2s, and those are 64, 66s technically. Those are going on the Hellcat. But
Which the 62, 66 is the next gen flows more than that, doesn't it?
yeah, so it's worth like another 50 horsepower, I think,
Right,
something
right.
like that. The next gens are supposed to, I mean, I've tested them one. I've been pretty happy with them.
What's the price for that one?
The
For
Bravo?
the Bravo.
Installed and tuned, because we have mail-out versions of this too. Installed and tuned is about $45K.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, we'd want the car sent here,
Yeah,
right? Yeah. Have the car sent here. Have you guys do it because this is what you do,
yeah,
as seen by all the C8s outside.
yeah.
And you said it was what?
About 45K, 46K, yeah.
And that's clutches and everything?
The super stock clutches and Datsun.
Okay.
And we
Yeah,
build
that's
them
not
here.
bad.
Yeah.
And then, because they all come with a warranty, then you got the Bravo. What's the next one? Charlie?
Bravo Plus.
Why is it all Bravo?
Well, because
Bravo Light, Bravo, and then Bravo Plus.
yeah, because I wanted to, because I kept on developing it further, but it wasn't quite that alpha point. So I made it the Bravo Plus. Basically, it's the Bravo just plus a built motor, is what that means.
Okay. This is like rod piston deal?
Yeah,
or-
pistons and rods. Manly, we use Manly pistons.
So on your mail out kit, does it come with an engine or
yeah,
is it
so
just
yeah,
the
we'll
components?
do. I've done Bravo Plus mailouts and I've done Alpha mailouts, and we do an engine and we do a core exchange.
Okay. Is that the only difference with the Bravo Plus to Bravo is the engine?
Is the engine, but then we run more before we did other things like
You'll
heads
run
cam.
more boost, obviously.
We run more boost, obviously, and also more methanol.
Okay.
And then now we add an aux pump, and if they want to do heads cam, that will add more fuel that way. So now the
So, wait,
Bravo.
so you haven't had to touch the fueling
At that point, no, we hadn't had to touch the fueling.
at 300 more horsepower?
No, at that point, that was the most I'd made on a Bravo Plus before we had HP tuners on a what dyno was that? Superflow chassis dyno, which sometimes they read a little bit higher. People say, but and they do, I think, depending on how they're messing with them. We made 1,000 on Superflow. And on my dyno before it left, we made like 820 or 830. I ran a 960 quarter mile pass, and that was in 2021.
Was that heads cam or
No, that was all stock bottom end, or not stock bottom end, but
stock head, stock cam?
stock head, stock cam with pistons and rods, stock crank, and then the heads were ported, but they weren't like that's it.
That's what, maybe 20, 30 horsepower?
Yeah. So and then we did valve springs and stuff like that. Of course, we upgraded the valve train. We did head studs, main studs, all the things we could do to fortify the engine as much as we could without putting different.
Why not change the cam at that time?
Because we couldn't tune for the cam.
Oh, okay. I
So-
figured there was a reason.
Yeah.
But so your packages now are going to reflect HP tuning.
Yes, they
Right.
do reflect HP tuning, but we still have those base packages, and then we offer the head
Because they
cam
want
as,
the chop.
as an upgrade.
That's going to be a big deal.
Yeah. So So anybody who wants a cam, we'll throw that in there. It's just an upgrade, right? So
Is that covered with the warranty?
yes,
Okay.
yep. So there's really not like a horsepower limit on the warranty. The stipulations of the warranty is like if it's a race car, that we can't like. If it's like obviously like it's caged, it's gutted, it's got no license plate on it, it's strictly a race
Yeah.
car. that's different. If it's
Right.
a street going car and it's got, you know,
These are cars they take out on the weekend and they'll go to the track maybe every other month.
yeah. So like, okay, if somebody comes to me, they're like, man, I'm a track rat. Like, and I talk track, I'm saying like road race stuff, and they want to put force induction on a car. I'm like, we can do it, but our packages in the way that we sell them are not designed specifically for that. We need to add more cooling, right? Because if you want to row and run, you're not going to like, you see these cars out and, so IMSA, like LMP2, all the prototype cars, those are all turbo cars, but they have crap loads of cooling technology built into them to be able to last 24 hours and with forced induction. But like an NA car is going to be able to last you a lot longer because you're not building as much heat because you're not turbocharged or not
Right.
forced induction. So you add forced induction to the mix and you want to run that long, you got to add a lot more cooling. But but not everybody needs all that cooling. So if somebody wants to do that stuff, we can. It's just we have to build in the provisions for it.
Right.
So like we have
but
our,
how do you deal with the people that tell you one thing but do another?
yeah, that gets
Because you know that's going to happen.
oh yeah, for sure.
So they're like, oh, I only race it every now and then. And you see them on 1320 out there racing it every single day, beating the crap out of it. And then they hurt the motor.
Oh, I mean, as long as it wasn't an installation error, that's obviously an installation error, it's still covered.
So how do you negate that? Because as a migrant tuner, I've seen some shit. And some of these shops that are, professionals do some pretty sketchy things.
Well, so basically,
So how do you mitigate that?
if there is a warranty claim, right, they're going to send out an underwriter, and the underwriter is going to go investigate it, right? And so the underwriter, those guys have seen a lot of things, right? And they're used to modified vehicles because these are warranties that are for modified vehicles.
Okay.
So that's part of their job, right? So if it's if somebody, case in point, I actually had dealt with this company before I started working with them with what I'm offering now. They had an underwriter come out here because I had sold a kit to a package to a company, and that company installed everything. And eventually the car came here because we didn't know what was going on with it. There was a problem with it, like it was overboosting or whatever the situation was, and we were pretty sure that a piston had cracked. And it came here, and come to find out that the vacuum lines were going to the top of the gates instead of the bottom of the waste gates.
Oh, yeah.
So, and the underwriter came out here and I said, I'm not gonna lie to you, this is exactly what happened. And they denied the claim because,
Right. Well, I mean, that's how it should be.
right. So
Right.
like, that's what I'm saying. So,
But then you're going to get those guys that are going to be like, oh, and they see that and they're like, crap.
and if the underwriter doesn't catch it, then I guess it is what it is.
It just sucks.
Now,
I think
I
that's
mean-
what scares me on the warranty world, right?
Yeah. Well, the thing is like, if it happens enough, they might not offer that warranty to me anymore.
So don't ruin it, guys.
Yeah.
Just be a good person. I know it's really hard for some people nowadays. Just be a good person.
Yeah. I mean,
Because
it is.
this is something that people don't really offer.
No. And I'm,
It's really cool that you're doing it. I mean, because it allows people to go enjoy their cars again. Because
Right.
that's the first thing people tell you, right? When you go to tune them, they're like, man, I'm going to lose my warranty.
Yeah.
Well, don't be a dirtbag. You're going to tell them, yes, they're going to lose their warranty. That's just how it's going to be.
Yeah.
But you're offering them a solution. And most of the guys that have the C8s, that's all they want. They want
Yeah.
a little bit of reassurance.
yeah, for sure. And it's an easier sell to the wife too. It helps,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's where it's at.
Yeah, and for sure, and that's the number one obstacle that we get that we have to overcome.
Yeah.
Not that I get it. Happy wife, happy life, as they say, and all that fun stuff. And
If not, you just get rid of them.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, no.
right.
So yeah, I mean that's just the biggest thing that we deal with. Is like not so much selling to them, but selling to the wife is also important.
Yeah.
The whole family's got to be on board with it. It's a lot of money,
Yeah.
to spend.
Yeah, but it's for what you're offering. It's extremely reasonable.
Yeah,
a lot of people
but I
don't
get
realize.
that's another obstacle I get is
Well, that's something we talked about on Calvo. Is like a lot of people don't realize what it costs to build a car nowadays.
yeah,
right?
the amount of time it actually goes into it versus what I'm charging. Like,
Well,
if
not even that. It's like to I use mine as an example. My car, I asked a bunch of shops what it would cost to build it. I gave them the list of what I've done to it, and I did it as cheap as I could possibly do it.
yeah,
And the average was $65,000 to $75,000.
yeah,
People are like, "Oh, that's crazy! I could build that car for 40." No, you couldn't.
yeah,
You can't do that. That's
Yeah.
the components alone cost 40.
Yeah.
So this here, I mean, you know what fab takes. You know what that would really cost if they had a turbo kit made.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking at least 20 grand on a custom turbo kit. Maybe 15 if you get somebody doing it in their shed.
Yeah.
You know, I know a lot of people can get one made for $5 grand and it's going to look like a $5,000 turbo kit, but it's not going to be done to this level. It's not going to be done with the components and the research and routing and all the flow.
Yeah. I mean, even if our prices right now, though, with the way the market has been going, it's been a hard sell.
Which is crazy to me because it's not a bad price.
Yeah, and that's why I said, all right,
32 for 175 horsepower on a modern car with a warranty is super cheap.
Yeah, and I didn't offer the warranty, like that specific warranty before. Of course,
it's cheap without the warranty.
Yeah.
It's a good deal. And it's not like it's coming from somebody that hasn't been doing this for quite a while. I mean,
man, can you inject your brain in all my potential customers, please?
Unfortunately, hopefully they can learn from all these shops that are, telling us these prices are not astronomical. They're very,
Oh yeah, you post.
I mean, they're very competitive.
The guy in the Mustang. Oh, I could run that horsepower in my Mustang for 10 grand.
Yeah, and then you got a $10,000 shit box.
Yeah.
Cool. you know?
Not that there's anything wrong with Mustangs, but just that it usually.
I know. You get those guys who are like, I run that in my Fox body. I'm like, yeah, and you're
It's
also
always a Fox
driving
body.
You're
What is
also
it with the
driving a
Fox body?
fucking Fox body, and I'm driving a C7.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
We aren't the same.
Yeah, it's just.
But the C8, it's a nicer platform. Well, debatable. I still say Team C7. But the C8, like I said, it's going to be an animal. The only thing I'm kind of still on the fence is like the transmissions.
Yeah.
We went to Cadillac Attack and they had one that was running low nines and he made a whole like 5 passes.
Yeah.
And that was it. The clutches were done.
So it's getting a lot better. So as we've gotten HP tuners, now we have better torque modeling.
This had HP tuners.
Yeah.
This thing was $7,500 for clutches.
I would like to see what his calculated torque was, though.
Well, I'll give you his contact when we leave here.
Okay.
I didn't tune it because I don't tune C8s yet or at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, he went through the clutches pretty quickly, and I'm like, man, that hurts.
Yeah.
$7,500 worth of clutches. I'm sure he raced it a little bit before, but he had said that they were rather new.
Yeah.
So I don't know how long you're getting out of clutches at a car that's making 1,000 plus at the track.
I mean, I have a car on Sportsman's, this brown car that I did that we run at the Texas Mile and the Shift Sector half mile stuff. And that car makes, on the highest profile, it's like 1120 on my Mustang dyno. Mm-hmm. Generally, we're running it around 1,000 wheel horsepower, because anything more than that, it doesn't really seem to go that much faster, honestly. So we're just running on like the 1,050 wheel on my dyno.
Right.
And I don't know, we've done tons of passes on the thing. We can't get over like 208 miles per hour because we kept on hitting IAT issues. So like it would just start killing power on the top end. So we added some more cooling stuff and then the customer sold the car. But that's been, the main car that I could say.
But a ton of passes. Like, what are we talking about? A ton of passes.
I mean,
like 50,
mile
like
long
100
passes though.
Right. No, I understand. The mile is brutal. Most cars come driving in and they leave on trailers.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably done at least, I don't know, 30 passes. He gets the fast pass at the mile. So he goes, whoop, whoop, so not that he's like hot lapping it per se, but
right.
He'll cool it down, run it again, cool it down, run it again, cool it down, run it again. I mean, he probably did 5 passes a day, maybe 5 to 8 passes a day.
How long do you think that's going to live though? The trans.
It's been fine.
Realistically. 200, 300 passes maybe?
I don't know. I mean, but the transmission is actually a lot stronger than people give it. That's one thing it's a huge...
I always assumed it was because it's just like the 6L90. Everybody said it was junk, and I think it's one of GM's strongest transmissions out there.
Like I haven't been able to run I haven't been able to run another GM transmission at that kind of power other than like the 8-speed stuff. And
well, they catastrophically explode, so
yeah. I mean,
yeah.
When they do, but yeah.
Right. They hold power.
I've had good luck with them though.
I've made 1,600 through one, so I know they can hold it.
Yeah.
But I would think that trans being derived from essentially a manual, it's got to be significantly stronger.
Yeah, like the internal components, like the gear set is pretty strong. Like I've only seen like 2 gear sets ever have an issue, and that was one. I had a customer here with because I think the 5.7 gear set, or maybe it's 3.5. I think it's 5.7 gear set is not splined or something like that. So that's like one of the Achilles heels of the transmission, whereas the other gear sets are splined.
Well, once we see the 01 trans, I bet it's splined.
Yeah, more than likely. But yeah, but still, the transmission is very stout for what it is. And a lot of people are like, oh, there's transmissions. These cars are always in the shop. Transmissions are all no. The TCM is the problem. The calibration.
The Z06s. There's a lot of Z06s at dealerships with transmissions. I've got 4 or 5 buddies, and every one of them has lost a trans in a Z06.
Well, did they lose the trans, or did the dealership just submit for a warranty claim?
Who knows?
Because the problem that they're having is that the park position sensor, like drift, is what they're calling it. The park position drift. You can't fix it. Like you could, but Tremec doesn't give you the ability to fix it, so you have to just warranty it. The gear set didn't crap the bed.
Most of these they had to be towed in, so they
but a lot of times you can just clear the codes and the car will shift like nothing ever happened. So it's like the clutch pressure discharge codes like P2854, P2856 or whatever, those codes are the clutch pressure discharge codes. If it throws that code, it will shut off whatever even or odd clutches. So like, oh, I lost my even gears. No, the TCM just isn't giving it to you. But people think that their transmissions have failed. And it says, so that's one thing that you'll get. That people think their transmissions failed. Take it to the dealership. Dealerships, yeah, we're just going to warranty it. Tremec says you need a new transmission. A lot of times you don't actually need a new transmission. Okay. It's just like, that's what I'm finding a lot in the data that I've seen. Because how many cars have I've had? I mean, I've probably sold 60 turbo kits at this point and installed on those cars. And of all those cars, I've had one or two maybe that actually needed a transmission. And that was just that one. And that's even the one that's making 1,100 wheel and running to the mile. It hasn't broke a transmission.
Damn.
So like I had that one that came here, actually had issues before it even got here. And we didn't, unbeknownst to anybody, and we figured that out. But otherwise, all the cars that I put turbo kits on, none of them have had replaced transmissions. So I mean, I
figured there had to be something else to it.
Yeah, there's always another
it's the
side. TCM, like it's super finicky. Like you sneeze wrong, and it's like, oh, there's a problem, and it would just shut you down. So that's really what it boils down to. And Tremec just doesn't want the dealerships taking apart transmissions and fixing little things. They just want you to ship it to them, and here's a new transmission.
Is the Z06 trans different from the Stingray?
Yeah, it's like a larger output shaft, and the pan is a little bit different design, but they also integrated that new pan design into all the newer 23s after July 23.
Right. Okay.
So they don't need the extra 2 quarts of fluid or whatever, the track fill or whatever. And then other than that, there's not really any differences other than the clutches are a little bit better in the Z06 transmission, but other than that, it's the same. The ZR1's probably been reinforced a little bit more, but the Stingray transmission is actually very stout. So.
What do you think about the E-Ray?
It's badass. I want to take an E-Ray. I want to put a twin turbo kit on it, and I want to run it in the 200 treadwear class, like all the 200 treadwear time attack stuff, because it would decimate all. Because you're limited in what aero and what tire you can run. You can't run a slick. You can't run big aero like the Optima stuff or like Grid Life. Grid Life has a little more lenient rules on tires, but then there's Global Time Attack and some of these other places where you can only run specific tires and they can't go below 200 treadwear. Well, you put a hybrid car on there and making that kind of power, you're gonna win some races.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, it's gonna be fast at the drag strip too.
Yeah.
And so the E-Ray is cool because we can tune it with HP tuners and we can put twin turbos on it, and it's got all-wheel drive. And it's not like, I don't think it's really active much above like I think 80 miles per hour. Like it pretty much teeters off at that point, somewhere around between 60 and 80 miles per hour, from what I understand.
But at that point, you shouldn't really need it.
Yeah.
Because the engine is on the back tires.
Yeah. So, and then also, people are like, well, what's going to happen if I twin turbo? Like, how's the motor going to know what's happening? Well, that's the motor the controller that controls the motor is essentially along for the ride. It's getting all the inputs from the CAN bus. And the more torque you tell it's making, it says, okay, it knows what's going on. You're not able to tune that, but it's just a similar concept to proper torque modeling.
Do you think HP tuners will be able to get into that?
I'm sure they probably could if they wanted to, but
why wouldn't you?
It's just a whole nother, the thing
like
is
to disable it for a burnout or something like that.
Yeah. There's certainly, you could do anything with time and money, right?
Listen up, HP tuners, because y'all have the money.
Oh,
you get what I'm saying, though. Like
but
a burnout
Keith would say, let me get another engineer from the engineer tree and get on that. So that's what he would say.
By the time we're done with the pod, he's going to be disabled from HP tuners. And he's going to cancel. Hey, I'm going to call you. All right, I'm going to call you to tune your car. Why is it locked out?
I'm going to call that number and it's going to be.
Yeah, no, it's there's just a lot that goes into it, but there's a lot of Global B vehicles out there that they want to add support for, and there's just strategics as far as you don't know what you don't know with the transmission stuff or with any other controller you want to add support for in the C8 world, right? So like from a business perspective, we want to be able to support this Global B car, because now they've finally got the Global B encryption and they can get around that. So you want to support as many Global B vehicles as possible. And then that will help fund, essentially. I'm not saying that this is just my idea.
Right. And that makes sense.
That helps fund your R&D.
Specialty projects.
Yeah, like going into the transmission stuff. So it's not like they don't want to do it, It's just certain things take precedence because of...
Right. And that makes sense.
Talk about your Z06 kits on the C8.
Yes, so the Z06 is our newest, our twin turbo kit for the Z06 is our newest offering for any of the C8 platform. We're really excited about it. It's our Bravo package. We don't have a Bravo Lite, a Bravo Plus. We are going to be coming out with an Alpha.
Thank you.
Just looking for anybody who wants to go ahead and take that plunge with us and work with us on that. Because all we need is a set of pistons and rods, and I'll make 1,000 wheel with the Z06.
Where's your worry about the flat plane taking the pressure?
Honestly, a flat plane works really well with twin turbos.
But they're significantly weaker than a cross plane, right?
I mean, I haven't actually really ever heard that myself.
No?
No, not really.
Yeah, just in the design alone. That's mostly why they use cross plane, because they're significantly stronger.
Well, yeah.
And they're hitting 4 times instead of 2 times.
Yeah, but you've got the counterweights and everything. I mean, it's heavier duty, in that sense. But
wouldn't that start? I would think that would start to come into account until I saw the torque curve of the ZR1, and it's like,
yeah,
I'm like, okay, maybe it's stronger than we thought.
Yeah, I mean, I think it all depends on like my Winberg crank. Winberg said that thing will take 1,500 all day. It's flat plane crank,
Well, the GT350 thought that too, and that didn't work out so well.
Well, I'm not talking about Ford here.
Right. Okay.
Is that on the Voodoo?
Huh?
The Voodoo, right?
Yeah. They screwed up by naming it a Voodoo motor. Like that was stupid. Clearly, they'd never been to Louisiana. They don't realize that's a bad thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, I really don't. I just think it depends on how the crankshaft is constructed.
Did you ask your guy from GM if the ZR1 cranks the same?
No.
Can you?
I mean, as far as I'm aware, it's supposed to be basically the same, though.
Well, I know on the LT4 and LT5, they said the crank was different and that it was a different material, and we've pulled both apart and they look identical.
Yeah.
Everything's identical.
Oh,
but they're a different part number.
Yeah, the LT4, LT5, yeah, it's the same.
Different part number.
Oh, yeah.
And they said it's a different metal. But there's no way. I mean, we haven't cut a hole in metallurgy, tested it, but I mean, come on.
But, as far as I'm aware, the crank is the same. Like if you like Chad Juter, I can't ever pronounce his name correctly. The chief engineer, he left now because he retired. I can't remember how to pronounce his name properly. So I'm sorry.
I don't know.
But anyways, like you watch some of those videos with him, and he's talking about the ZR1, and he talks about changing the compression ratio, going to a different piston and rod. But he doesn't mention anything about changing the crank.
Right. That's what I was just curious.
Yeah.
Since you got the inside.
I don't say
new C8s were coming and everything.
No, I mean, as far as I'm aware, it should be the same crankshaft, but I don't know for sure. But no, so I am wanting to do an alpha package, and I'm really excited because we're going to put some Carrillo pistons and rods in there, and we're going to make 1,000 wheel. It's just a matter of time with the Z06. So I'm very excited about that. So if anybody out there is watching and they want to do an alpha package, let me know.
Are you going to do that with your controller?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So, we, as far as I'm aware, we're the only ones who are doing any type of tuning on the C8 Z06 platform. So we are able to adjust the MAF just as we were able to on the Stingray, which is, pretty critical. Also, we can adjust timing. We have some other things we're doing with it as well. And then on the Z06, because it is a higher compression engine, a lot of people are like afraid to boost them.
What is the compression?
It's like 12.5 to 1.
But they're still direct injected, right?
Yeah.
So it's not an issue.
And also, you're not really looking at we don't know what the actual
dynamic is.
Right, the dynamic compression, because we don't know what the cam profile exactly is. We don't know how they're adjusting the cams at whatever given RPM.
You haven't bought one to take it apart yet?
No. I don't have my own Z06.
You know who has one? Brian Tooley.
Oh yeah, he does.
Oh, he does. Yeah.
Yeah, I asked him if he's
He
going
has
to pull the motor out. He said no. I'm like, come on,
He has
just
a
pull
red.
it out.
He has a red one.
Yeah.
So Brian, if you're watching this, here's your man.
So
Yeah.
they would pay for the parts and you would offer the labor, correct?
Yeah, I mean, no, as far as you're talking about with this alpha package,
Right.
oh, it would be a special pricing.
Collaboration.
I won't get into specifics on that right now, but it just depends on the situation.
Could it be road coursed?
Yeah.
I'm asking because Brian road courses his car,
Yep.
and he enjoys it.
He sure does.
So could he buy this package from you and road course that car?
Yeah.
Okay. Remember that, Brian.
Yeah,
This guy's got your back.
He does road course it. He
Yeah.
said, yep.
Yep. And he said he likes it. He said it's really, really good on the road course.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it'd be really gooder with turbos.
Good.
Gooder.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
gooder.
Good.
The cool thing also about the Z06 kit that we offer is dual heat exchangers in the front. It's about 5.5 gallons of capacity. So we're pretty excited about that. And you've got a nice Davies Craig intercooler pump. We've got a pretty big reservoir in the tunnel of the car. And then we've got an expansion tank in the front. And then we've got, the dual heat exchangers. And then we got our intercooler in the back. And so a lot of cooling has gone into that kit also because it is higher compression and because we're trying to just do whatever we can to mitigate any issues. Not that there actually has been, because that engine is super tolerant to the additional power.
Really?
Yeah, we're very impressed with what we've seen. It's just like, oh, cool. More,
Yeah, a lot
more
of people
power.
have said that engine, that platform, once it's really tunable, is going to be insane.
Yeah, absolutely. But now we're like I said, I can tune it. Right now, our kit picks up about 180 horsepower. But if I put pistons and rods in it and lower the static compression, and then do a fuel system with port injection, I know I'll make 1,000 wheel.
Do you think the stock engine would make 1,000 if you had some if you were able to really calibrate it? Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if you could go in and change the cam angles and everything like that, and the cam phasing appropriate to whatever you want to do to lower the dynamic even more, and be able to adjust the actual throttle bodies that are inside the manifold for the two plenums,
Right.
To distribute the air pressure differently in the manifold, then yeah, I mean, you might be able to. But
Someone talked about
there,
an intake that had no throttle bodies and it was individually fed by the turbos. Each bank was. Oh, that's the new ZR1.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
So would you call it a coyote killer?
What, the Z06 with turbos? Oh.
That engine.
I mean, yeah, it's
5.5.
yeah, it's pretty.
Because that's what I think, the LT lacks is the RPM
Yeah.
and the adjustable
Yeah,
cams.
from that aspect, yeah. I mean, it's got the dual overhead cam, it's got the RPM capability, and I'd say it's stronger probably than a Coyote out of the box.
So basically, we take those, we jam that in a C7.
yeah,
We got a Coyote Slayer
Yep.
yeah,
for $185,000.
yeah,
Yeah, coyotes kill C7s.
yeah.
The hell they do.
But
But I don't know.
This guy's looking for a rise. He's not going to get it.
Yeah,
Could still be driving a C7.
so the turbo kit from the Stingray and the Z06 are completely different.
yeah. So some of it's the same. So from the cats to where the turbos mount is the same. So we use the same turbo mount for a Z06 versus a Stingray. We use the same up pipes, and they both bolt to the cat, and then we use the same flex pipe that goes to the turbo. Beyond that, the X pipe is different, and then the hot side, that's basically you just got an X pipe that goes to the two innermost holes on the rear fascia, and then the outermost holes, it has our wastegate dumps go to the outer holes.
And does
Is it open wastegates, or
Yeah,
could you plumb them back in if they wanted?
we could, yeah, but there's no fun in that.
Depends. I'm getting old.
Yeah.
saying does your competitors offer like Z06 kits, or they're just Stingrays?
No, we're the only ones officially offering a twin turbo kit for the Z06.
Nice.
And we're the only ones tuning them, to my knowledge, at this point. We do have a couple companies. I think I've heard rumblings of ETS coming out with a twin turbo kit for the Z06. But the big differentiator here is going to be our tuning capability right now. So nothing on ETS or anything. It's just, and I've worked with those guys in the past. I sold them a clutch controller once and talked to them before, and nice guys up in Washington. They make a pretty nice kit for the C8 as well. Now, I mean, they're not building cars, but yeah, they just sell the kit just like they sell the kit for the bunch of other cars, Subarus, GTRs.
Well, they make turbo kits for everything.
Yeah,
Everything,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. So a little bit different, but like for us, this is not another kit. This is the kit. Like this is my legacy is C8.
Yeah.
Like this, I'm eat, sleeping, and breathing C8. And again, I still do Hellcats and everything else, but like this is the platform that I chose to
push everything into.
Yeah.
Right.
That's your baby.
So yeah, so that's something that's the thing like about me, and also with us, a big differentiator for us is we're making it all in here in house, and ETS makes their stuff, but they're not building the car too, right?
Right.
So we're manufacturing the kit, we're building the car in here, and we can mail it out as well. But if you have a problem, you're dealing directly with the manufacturer of the kit, you're dealing directly with the tuner, you're dealing with me, and so that's a big differentiating factor for us.
Will that kit come warranty too?
What's that? The
Will
Z6?
that Z06
Yeah.
package. So it'll have the warranty as well.
Same warranty, yeah.
Damn.
That still blows my
So
mind.
I mean, I'm trying to show people like this is legit. This is
Right.
not. I'm not smoking mirrors here.
So
Right.
the biggest difference would be tuning on your kit versus like ETS.
As
Well,
well as
As
time
installation
and
and
well,
development, R&D.
but yeah, the R&D and the time into it.
I mean, yeah. So just for the Z06 specific kit, in addition to it being, already we had a bunch of time into the Stingray, we built on top of that even more so with the Z06 kit, right? So that really took an extra year to develop a Z06 specific kit, and then just getting the tuning, getting through the new GM protocol and through our map, that in and of itself took like 6 months.
Yeah.
So
And is they all run the same turbos or
yeah, same
do all your
turbos.
kits run the same 6266?
Yeah, you can go to now. They've got a mirror image, a reverse rotation 6870 that fits in the same basic parameters, footprint, like
Okay.
in space.
Right.
Right. But yeah, I mean, honestly, the 6266 is it's so it's very efficient.
1400.
Yeah, it's efficient from, you can make 600 wheel with it, you can make 1100 wheel with it.
Right.
And it's a good turbo,
But there's always those guys.
Yeah. Yeah. So now they got the reverse, because everything that we do is mirror image. Our Hellcat kit's mirror image. So we got to have a reverse rotation available.
Right.
And then the next gens, they just now came out with the next gens with reverse rotation up to 6870. So now there's some options. We could do some more stuff with that.
Yeah, and the fact that fits in the same footprint helps a lot.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, there's a lot of options we could do with that. But we're very proud of the Z06 kit. And, it's dual outlet intercooler. It goes to the factory throttle bodies. There's a lot of cool stuff going on with it.
This is air to water.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I assumed because it's in the back, but
Yeah.
and then you said you put your heat exchangers in the front.
Yep.
Okay. Amelia?
Amelia Hartford.
Yeah. So you had worked with her?
Yeah. So she was pretty integral with us. And like back in 2020 is when we started working with her. It was like March, I want to say, of 2020.
That's unfortunate. Unfortunate timing.
Yeah. So
like right
because she
there.
had just gotten her car. I got my car like a month later. But she had just gotten her car. She was driving it back from picking it up. And I linked up with her because we had a mutual friend who was working at HB Tuners at the time, marketing guy there. And so he's like, man, you should talk to Amelia and you guys should work together. And so I linked up with her. And then, from then on, we've been working together, doing stuff on her C8. We first put a nitrous kit on her C8 back in March 2020, took it to track, and we've gotten to the 10s with it. We were super excited about that. There's no other C8 had done 10-second pass at that point.
Right.
And then, it just kind of just blew up from there, doing the twin turbo stuff with her. And she really, helped us put our name on the map in a lot of the C8 market. And so that was really integral for us. And we appreciate that.
Yeah, she seems real ingrained with GM and everything and kind of has a lot. I think she has the Z06 too now, doesn't she?
Yep.
So
And at that time, like she was just she was up pretty well known, but then in the last, couple of years, she's kind of just blown up, she's gotten way, so, and awesome for her, she's a great person and she's a good friend of mine and, very happy to see, her development and, we're all developing and doing our things but we still keep in contact, and we're messing with the car. We're about to go do some more cool stuff with it, I think. So we're excited about that. Yeah.
So is that your kit on the Z06, or did she put the Stingray kit on there?
So yes, that was one of our kits that she put on there. But I sent her a new, like, with all of our upgraded stuff for the Stingray, and she took the original, like, R&D kit we had on her Stingray, and she put that on the Z06.
Yeah.
And then like, it was like, and I mean, they did some other stuff with it too. Like, I think they did a different. I don't know if she put she couldn't put the intercooler on it because it's not dual outlet intercooler.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think they ran intercooler, but they're just trying to,
It
get
sounded
on
cool.
Yeah. So they're just having fun with it or whatever. But that was cool for me because I was like, okay, now I know it mounts up the same, and so like the basics of my kit will still fit. Obviously I had to change the intercooler, I had to change the X pipe, and then the cooling's different because we can't put the heat exchanger on the driver's side because the Z06 has a heat exchanger there already. So we had to run heat exchangers in the front.
Okay.
And now we're using that as our Track Attack cooling package that we offer as an upgrade to your Stingray. If you already have one, you want to add more cooling, you add the heat exchangers in the front.
Okay. So from the Z06 or?
Yeah. So
Okay.
we adopted that from the Z06, and now we're using it on Stingrays too. So,
All right.
Nice.
so yeah. So for that guy I was talking about that wants to go track rat, that's one of the things that they would upgrade to.
What's the future for Peitz?
We're going to continue to make the C8 as great as we possibly can.
But they have another company. I don't know if you work with them, Sissio, and he offers a warranty as well. So it's a similar kit.
Yeah.
What are the differences between the two?
Yeah. So Nathan, him and I, we talk, I would say regularly, but we talk fairly often. And nice guy. We actually met at a Motec thing. Like they were doing like some training or whatever, and I was doing some Motec training and he was there too, and so I got to meet him in person there. So that was pretty cool. And he's bought harness bars for me. I used to buy clutches from him before Datsun opened up the clutches to other dealers. So we're direct with Datsun now, but at the time I was working with him because he was the only person who could be direct with Datsun.
Okay.
Which fine for him. He worked with him in the past on all the GTR stuff and
Right.
the Huracans, whatever. So he's well ingrained into that market or those other markets. With the C8 stuff, the differences lie, I'd say, well, he's using ETS, right? And then ETS has their own kit, obviously, that they sell, and the ETS kit doesn't come with an X pipe, right? Which whatever, it's just personal preference or whatever it may be. Now Sissio, he does offer an X pipe upgrade, if you want to call it that, or X pipe option, if you will, for the ETS kit. So if you want an X pipe, you could do that. However, ours is standard with X pipe. So that's one thing. Another difference is, like I was mentioning before, ceramic coating is standard on ours. Also, our kits do always come with the catch can, and then they always come with the NPVI 3. And there's also, a few other differences, like I tell people, with me, you're working directly with the guy who's manufacturing a kit, like I mentioned to you. And so that's really, a thing that I like to mention, because if you have, not that they couldn't be able to help them either, but it's just nice when you call up and it's like, oh yeah, I got one of those on the shelf. Let's just take care of it, or whatever. Right. If there is a problem, not that there is, but that's one thing.
Do you know if they offer a lifetime warranty on their craftsmanship?
What's that?
Do you know if they offer a lifetime warranty on their craftsmanship?
That would be through ETS though, right?
Yeah, so that's ETS.
Well, I know, I was just asking.
Yeah. I know that they offer, the powertrain deal that they're doing and all that with their warranty.
Do you know the mileage or anything on that, or
no? I don't
have
think
to look it up and you can add it.
Yeah. I think he did a YouTube video on it.
I missed it,
and I watched it, and I can't remember the particulars at this point. But ours is more like, it's more of a legit, like not legit, but you know what I mean. Like it's a bumper to bumper.
It's bumper to bumper, not just on the work that's done.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and not to take anything away from what he's doing.
Right.
I didn't want to mean it that way, but like it's like what you would basically expect when you go to a dealership, for example, and you buy extended warranty.
I mean, and that's something he spoke about too when he was talking about it.
Right.
He's just wanting to do that because he wants people to work together and people to be able to enjoy their cars and things like that. So I'm sure he would invite, you doing it as well, right? Like,
yeah, it's only helping the
it's
more
only helping
people,
the industry and showing people that y'all are standing behind your product.
The more C8s that have
700 700 CCO lifetime warranty package.
But that's
How
only
many mileage. I don't know.
that's only on a 700 horsepower car though.
Yeah.
But you're gonna warranty them up to 1,000.
Yeah, on the Alpha.
Not up to, but at 1,000.
Yeah, so the Bravo Light through the Alpha.
Right.
And then now, like I said, if it's like a full-on race car, that's a different situation, right? But I'm talking like your typical owner who buys a car, they go drive around the car, they go to the track on the weekends here and there or whatever.
Mexico.
Yeah. Yeah, or roll racing, whatever the case may be.
I'm sure they can't drive it out of the country.
Yeah, sure.
Not covered. It's not covered in Mexico. It's all right.
Don't say what you're gonna say. You're gonna sound silly.
But
Because Puerto Rico is the States.
no, I was gonna say
Don't
we're not
sound
gonna say
silly.
we're not gonna say Puerto Rico. I mean, we're not gonna say Mexico. We're saying Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Anyways, but so that would be the difference is that the warranty is for a 700 horse his package, and then yours would cover the whole car,
Bumper to bumper.
bumper to bumper.
Up to
And
Yeah, I mean, and I can provide anybody who has more specific questions. By all means, I can provide more specific answers.
where should they contact you for that?
Either contact us at PeittzPerformanceTunes.com. There's a contact link on our website, or you can go to us at Instagram at Peitz Performance is our Instagram handle, or you can also just email us sales@PeittzPerformanceTunes.com, or go to our Facebook, or give us a shout at our office here.
Okay, so you pretty easy to get a hold to.
Yeah. Other than that, though, when you get a kit from us, when you're working with us, you're working with me, and I'm, not only am I the guy that helped. I did design the kit. I mean, obviously, I worked with my fabricators, and it's a collaborative effort. When I say I mean like our team, right? We designed it. But like when a customer wants to work with us, you're working with the people who made the kit, right? You're working with me, the guy who's tuning it, right? So that's a very unique thing.
Oh yeah.
Right. And you don't see that everywhere else. Right. And not to take anything from you.
Not that, but I'm hoping to see that more.
Yeah.
I'd really like to see that more. That was something with like transmission stuff when I was building them, because I don't anymore. But when I was doing them, if I built it and I told you it would hold this much power, I will warranty it if I'm tuning it.
Yeah.
Right. And that just shows that I know what I built. I know what I put in there. It's going to do what I say it's going to do. And that's pretty much all you're doing. You're trying to show them that I'm putting out a quality product here, and I'll put my name on it and I'll back it.
Yeah.
Which is more than anybody can ask for.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to shake things up a little bit, because
It's going to shake things up.
I really feel like, man, it's just people the general consumer is very price oriented, but I'm very results oriented, right? So people need to stop focusing so much on the price and focus on the results. Focus on the back end support that you're going to receive.
Exactly.
Right. That's what is the underlying factor that you should be looking at.
Well, that's part of the package. Anybody can just, weld together a turbo kit and say, oh yeah, you know what? It's good. I'll stand behind it. But if something happens, they're not going to do nothing about it.
Well, yeah. I mean, it depends on the situation, but yeah. So I just really want people to see, like, I believe in this. Mm-hmm. This is what I eat, sleep, and breathe by. Like, this is not.
And it's not just a whim. It's something you're constantly doing already.
Yes.
So
yeah, that's the thing.
And as we learned today, your connections are very wide. So if you need to perfect your product, you have the connections to make sure that's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's only expanded from there. We didn't even finish the whole aspect of my journey to where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
But Cliff Notes, basically, we left there where we were at with our 4,000 square foot place, and we moved now into our 6.5 acre property, where my house is co-located with the shop. We got a 7,000.
That's not a house. That's a mansion.
Yeah. It's just me and Stephanie and my 3 dogs, but with coming here, it was to get I wanted to live where I was working, because that's how dedicated I am to this. I mean, and then people are like, perfect example. Somebody's like, well, what's the, ask me today, well, what's the guarantee that you're like going to be around? Like, cause you have to pay a deposit on a turbo kit, right? I'm not asking for the whole thing, but you're paying a deposit.
Right, which is normal.
And it's a hefty amount that have to pay for the parts and everything. People ask, like, who's to say you're going to be here, when your lead time's up? I'm like, well, I live, like, if I lose my shop, I lose my house.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good motivator, right? So I'm not going anywhere.
No.
Right.
Well, and like I said, you've been ingrained in this industry for a long time. This isn't something that, you just did on a whim.
Right.
It's something you built up to. It's a legacy. It's going to be,
Yeah, and I did it all by myself.
You're not going to give that up on a whim.
Yeah, no investors, nothing. I have bootstrapped this entire thing.
Yeah.
From like I started off with $1,300 to my name and a two-wheel drive dyno, and this is where I'm at right now.
Right.
So and and some performance shops come and they go, and I've withstood the test of time.
Yep.
So that's a lot.
It says a lot though.
Yeah.
Because again, as I've said many times, it takes a lot more than people think.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to beat my own chest here, but like I'm just trying to get
it's
people.
time you get to.
Yeah.
You deserve to.
Yeah.
So, not a lot of people accomplish this level, right? And still, some do, but they don't enjoy what they're doing at the point. You're doing it, and you still enjoy what you're doing, and you aspire to do more, and that's a lot. That's a lot more than most can say.
Yeah, and you asked about the future of Peitz Performance, and I'll circle back to that here. I just wanted to mention, kind of put a bookend on the story for now. In the future, well, I want to get CNC machines. I want to produce more in-house. I want to do more packaging, and I want to do more business-to-business stuff. And I just want to continue to develop my manufacturing side of my business and the tuning side of the business. And I've got some cool ideas, and I've got some more cool stuff coming out for the C8. Like we're going to be launching the flat plane crank stuff, and then we're going to be launching oh man, my brain is not working
The
anymore.
dry sump stuff.
The dry
and all
sump,
that.
thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're going to be doing the dry sump stuff and just all kinds of cool stuff coming. So I'm pretty excited about it. And I know everybody else will be too once they.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that the market's still in the more untapped area, but it's definitely getting there.
Yeah. We're 4 years into it now, a little over 4 years into it. So yeah, it's come a long ways. And that's the thing. I've been there since the beginning, and I think of myself as a pioneer in it.
Yeah.
And
Oh, for sure.
and that's, I'm constantly trying to innovate new products, new ideas, and continue to develop it and make it better and better.
Well, and the fact that you're willing to kind of work with people. Because like I said, I called you when I had a C8, and I was like, hey, man, look. And you didn't have to answer the questions you did. But you did. You went in depth. You told me what I needed to do. You helped me. You helped me pick products. We put everything together.
Yeah.
You didn't have to do that, but you did, which shows me how much you really care, which shows me how much you're willing to make sure that everybody else gets the best product.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and then capping that all with a warranty. It's kind of a no-brainer.
Can't beat it.
I appreciate you guys taking the time to talk to me and hearing my story. And
Yeah, I definitely didn't expect all that. That was cool.
yeah,
that's what makes this whole podcast so cool. Is nobody goes for the guys that have been doing this forever, because I think a lot of people are scared to ask if somebody wants to tell their story.
Yeah.
But guys want to tell their story. That's what we do.
Like Brian Tooley, he's got a great story too.
I know it was 5 hours and we cut it short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was,
So him and Rick Smith.
they were falling asleep like this.
It is 11 o'clock at night, as it is now.
Brian's like,
Jeez.
I gotta go.
But a lot of these guys have crazy stories, and that's what I like about this podcast, is that he's allowing us to do that. So I'm grateful just to be able to be here to have conversations.
Yeah, and so I'm curious, like for the longer podcast, how long is that podcast going to be with Brian Tooley?
5 hours.
5 hours.
So it's going to be okay. And so, do your viewers watch through the whole thing?
According to analytics, like maybe 75%. But you have to remember, so it would be like what your consumer would do is watch an hour, and then the next day come back and finish off another hour. Come back.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
But it's also on Spotify,
Oh, it's also on audio. Yeah.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Yeah. So it's
which
on
I just found out. So now Wendy will watch them.
iTunes and Spotify.
She can put it on in the car and just listen as she's going on the road.
Yeah.
And get to hear everybody's story.
Oh, nice. Yeah, because like we listen. Stephanie listens to a lot of podcasts. Like Last Podcast on the Left. I don't know if you guys ever listen.
I'll listen to Joe Rogan.
What's that? Oh, yeah, but I'm just saying, like it's like a true crime, like
Right,
and, like
right.
they do
Oh,
like
yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they cover like different like serial killers that throughout.
Yep.
And they just
Yeah.
dive in deep to it,
Right.
And so those things are like sometimes they're like 6 days long or something, 4-hour-long podcast and there's 4 series to it, or 4 parts to
Right.
it, or something like that. It's crazy. So
Yeah, which that's what I wish you'd mention more on the podcast, that it's on Spotify and it's on what?
Apple Music.
Apple Music, because a lot of people don't know that. I'm on it and didn't know that.
yeah,
But yeah, that's really cool. You just throw your headphones on, get to work. When I was doing transmissions, that's what I do. Throw a podcast on and get to work.
Yeah.
So now people can do that and hear about all the people that they've been buying parts from and doing business with.
Yep.
cool.
Alex, we appreciate your time.
Yeah,
And
Yeah, I really appreciate it. That was interesting. That was
very
cool.
interesting, very cool, very knowledgeable
Yeah.
podcast.
yeah.
And you've done a great work. It's been awesome. It's not little, guys. I know I said in the beginning, but the room is little, but the place is huge.
Yeah.
I'm gonna clarify that again. But yeah, it's awesome. And yeah, make sure you check out JustinWhiteTuned on Instagram if you need a GM tuning.
Instagram, Facebook, cell phone,
TikTok.
whatever.
No
I'm
beat.
migrating.
Yeah, migrant tuner.
Justin the migrant too.
Justin the migrant tuner. No beamers yet, but
We're
it's all
getting
good.
there. We're getting there.
Yeah. And make sure you check out Peitz Performance on Facebook and Instagram. And you have YouTube, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Alex
YouTube
Peitz. Yeah,
Alex Peitz on YouTube.
yeah.
Check the shorts out on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and the audio on Spotify and Apple. Make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, comment who you guys want on the next podcast. Guys, peace.